Alright, that looks stable enough. So, welcome once again to D&D in Hindsight, which is us looking at old D&D books. I am Vincent.
I am the Krampus.
Sure.
I am Hunter Green.
And I'm Vincent. And this week we'll be starting off with a rather strong book, Unearthed Arcana. So, my little history. The original Unearthed Arcana was for D&D First Edition. It was a collection of Gary Gygax's articles. Basically, he spent a long time in Hollywood trying to get a movie made. The only thing that actually resulted was the old D&D cartoon. But when he came back, they were kind of in straits for money, so they quickly put together a compilation of Dragon Magazine articles and published them in order to get a cash infusion, which worked, obviously, enough, because, they didn't go out of business at that point.
I cast generate cash.
Yep.
It was kind of sad when Gary Gygax walked out into the middle of the street, said, "I roll performance," and then threw a d20 on the ground. And was very angry when no one would give him money for his great performance.
But in any case, the kind of tradition of it since then has actually been a hodgepodge of various ideas thrown together in a book. In the case of 3.5, that translates to a lot of alternate roles and various ideas.
Some of them are good, some of them are not.
But all of them are interesting. Or at least some level of interesting. Quite frankly, it's the stuff I tend to like, which is, let's throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, and you don't have to use it. These are all optional ideas. So, starting on the book proper. There's an introduction. Yep. Yeah, just basically explaining the... I love that warning. Get ready to drink from the fire hose. Yeah, this is a book of variant rules. By its very nature, it is a bunch of ideas that is in the realm of, hey, you might want to try this out or not, but, we came up with something. It is very much a book in the tradition of 3.5 in the sense that sometimes they just don't know when to stop designing a mechanic. But it's still got ideas, and since they are, since this is a tabletop RPG, the dirty little secret of tabletop RPG is you don't have to use everything. You can cut up the whole game and rebuild it with a bunch of house rules however the hell you want. Have fun, go nuts.
Oh god, I wonder how terrible it would be if you used every single one of these alternate rules.
You can't. Oh yeah, also as an aside, you can kind of see where the top of the cover sort of is right here on the page. This is like easily the worst PDF I have of any of these books in the sense that, like, the pages are not of the same size for the entire book. I have no idea why.
Someone scanned this like with an actual camera and not taking the pages out of the binding and scanning them.
No, this were taken out of the pages and scanned them. I think the person half understood how to use a scanning program and scanned a decent chunk of the pages at one size, realized they were making them way too big, and then scanned them at a normal size for the rest of them, but never fixed their error. So you have a PDF where the sizes just vary wildly.
But they had to have scanned this while this was in the book, because you can see the actual cover of the book.
Oh, no, that's me. While I was...
because I didn't fixing shit. Okay.
Yeah, it's me not wanting to have to resize constantly every single page as I was going through here, so it was, screw it, this looks close enough. So if stuff looks a little wonky, that's why. But yeah, in any case, starting with races. And environmental racial variants. Yeah, this is the first book that starts to introduce racial variants where, you want to run aquatic race or aquatic variants of every single race. Sure, why not? The interesting part being they kind of have different stat adjustments. Doesn't necessarily make them good or bad, but it is different options. Arctic, desert. Then we go into races of elements. And half races of elements, just because.
The air goblin.
Yep. Basically, slight variance on the base races, which if you wanted to run something that wasn't completely outlandish but that had different stat adjustments, I guess you could go hunting through here for something. Let's see. Next alternate rule, reducing level adjustment, which is an idea they had. Probably makes level adjustment almost bearable, but this is also if you're actually using EXP, which after a while we stopped doing, but the idea is you basically buy off the level adjustment by paying what it would have cost to go up a level at that time. Which makes enough sense, because the +1 level adjustments in this edition are almost never worth it on a race. But having it be less of an entire level and more like about 3,000 experience behind the party, which means that most of the time you're still going to be about the same level, but occasionally everyone else will level up early. In comparison to you,
I think you'd only be 1,000.
No, it's what it would have cost to actually go to level 3 or level 3.
Or did I go to level 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's see.
I thought it would be like the level adjustment for like going to level 1 to level 2, which would be 1K.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now
That makes more sense.
Now the first actual complex thing, Bloodlines. Alright, the idea of Bloodlines is you get a bunch of traits as you go up because your blood is close to one thing or another. But you either have a minor amount of that blood, an intermediate amount of that blood, or a major amount of that blood. So if you so depending on how much you have, you get to take, or the cost of doing this is you get a blank level every once in a while. So
like blank as in you don't get any extra stuff, or blank as in you don't get anything from that level?
You don't get anything from that level, but the interesting part is it counts as a level for every class you have.
Oh.
So the funny part with that is sometimes it can actually be beneficial to prestige classes that were like, say, 5 levels and expecting you to only have 5 levels in that prestige class and has something that scales with levels of class. It will also increase your like caster or manifester level. That second one is actually almost more important than that first one. Generally not really worth it, but an interesting idea. Because the bonuses are, even when you go to the major bloodline, like a +1 to 3 different stats, which is okay, I guess. Some other various bonuses. Mind you, this is costing like 3 levels. But it is actually a way of at least kind of doing a little bit of a splashy flavor into a bloodline, I guess. Not, again, the rules in here are more interesting than good half the time, and this is much more in the former category than the latter. Also, rules for creating custom bloodlines if your DM and or the player is so inclined, and can actually manage to make a custom bloodline that isn't stupid broken.
Good luck.
Yep. Let's see. Racial Paragons. Okay, this is the first thing I think that we I don't know if we used it per se, but these weren't actually a problem. I think we were also joking about Paragons last week.
Well, these aren't. When I was joking about Paragons, I was talking about epic level or handbook Paragons, which are like, here, have a +10.
Oh, that's right.
Luck
those
bonus
ones.
to all your saves and stats, and a +10 like perfection bonus to thing. A bunch of absolute nonsense.
Yeah. This is almost a tangent off of the Race S class, which appeared in earlier editions of D&D. Mainly, I think it was Holmes and Holmes Basic, or so some of the basic lines, elves would be like their own class. The original box set, that wasn't actually the case. They still used one of the 3 classes, but nonetheless, the idea is like these are 3-level classes, and you have to be that race to be in these classes. Asterisk with the half races. The drow one would be totally great if you didn't have to be a drow.
What's wrong with being a drow? You're a chaotic good. I can't even finish that. You know the drill.
You can say.
Did
you know?
Insert brow reference here.
Well, outside of the meme, they're also one of those pre-mentioned +1 level adjustment races that really aren't worth the +1 level adjustment. But yeah, in and of itself, like the first level of this class, if you're doing a caster class anyways, is better than a level of caster class, and makes your spell-like abilities better. Dwarf Paragon definitely is a thing that exists, which is basically most of these, but
Craft X.
Yep. Oh yeah, the most interesting thing about these, I believe, is level 3 in these classes is a stat bonus. So the dwarf one actually gets a con bonus at level 3, and considering this is a full attack progression thing, that's not bad.
I mean, I guess if you're a dwarf fighter, it'd be fine.
Yeah,
not really, perfectly fine. Not missing much.
Yeah, you're missing a few feats, but
a couple feats, but +2 con. I mean, whatever.
+2 con, +1 to your racial save bonuses, and notably one of those is spells and spell-like abilities. That's not bad.
That is good too. I mean, the craft expertise and Prue Stone Cunning is whatever.
Yeah, it's your first level is pretty
improved
dead,
dark vision is situationally useful.
Yeah, but it comes with the save bonus, and again, the third one is +3 con. So it's actually a solid deviance for a dwarf fighter. Here's the elf one.
Yep.
Yeah. This is overfair, unfortunately, because the person who designed this one did decide the wizard should be the first, or you should get wizard advancement at first level, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't know what elf sight is. Weapon focus, I'm assuming, is either weapon focus, longbow, or...
elf sight actually is right here. Elf Paragon is exception. Search and spot increases by +4. Low light vision increases in range. So not awful, but not like amazing.
Okay. +2 bonus to their bonuses against enchantment spells. Weapon focus on one of the elf weapons.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, losing one level of caster is not the worst.
No.
And this basically loses one spell level, one's casting level for a +1 DC, which I think most casters would actually end up taking.
Yeah, it's not awful. But okay, the awful part is you have to be an elf.
The elf part you have to be. I mean, but high elf.
Yeah, there's high elf. Yeah.
There is intended to be the Castiel.
Speaking of the awful part, here's the gnome Paragon.
Oh.
Let's see.
Like abilities?
Illusion aptitude may add his class level to the caster level and determine the effects of any illusion.
Okay, keep you up with that whole the technical, like canonical shadow caster was enough. So
yeah,
boost illusion makes sense.
Yeah. Mirror image spell-like ability. Okay, it was once per day mirror image, but mirror image isn't bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not worth it, especially since
the once per day mirror image caps out at level 3,
yeah.
but because it is based specifically on your gnome Paragon.
Unless you have a bloodline, in which case it can cap out at up to level 6.
The half dragon Paragon.
Yep. So let's basically an option for anyone who had the half dragon template. Let's see, Sorcerer's Blood, which is worthless, natural armor increase, which is +1 armor, and your breath weapon goes to 3 times a day. This is easily the best feature of the 3. Half elf Paragon. Okay, so the half race Paragons also give you divided ancestry, which means after you take a level in it, you can also go and take the one of the 2 Paragons for your parent race.
Mm-hmm.
So they can take elf Paragon or human Paragon in addition to taking half elf Paragon.
Okay. Plus the ability score of ability of choice.
Yep. Which I guess if you're actually trying to get more ability score increases is a way of doing it. Let's see. With half-orc Paragon, that might not actually be a terrible one. Because...
rage once per day and a strength boost for a fighter is also good.
Yeah, rage once per day and a strength boost for a fighter is solid. And as we saw with Complete Warrior, you take 1 feed and you have 3 rages per day, so you're basically just doing that every combat.
Yep.
In addition to that, you can actually go into human or orc paragon, which we'll go to both of them later. Although I'll give you a minor spoiler: the orc paragon is also about beating things' asses in.
Oh. I am surprised. Not really.
Right. Thrown weapon mastery.
Yep. +2 bonus on damage rolls with thrown weapon or sling. +2 dex.
Okay, I mean, save bonus is just a +1 to their luck bonus they have to save. Great. Or racial bonus they have to save, which is great.
Yeah, and they get that first level, but medium attack bonus is the only real flaw in that. But it's probably worth it, honestly.
Yeah, +2 dex, a +1 to saves. Period.
Yeah. If you're doing a very weird and specific like thrown weapon halfling, and as we've gone over thrown weapons, you can actually make it work.
Yeah, you could totally do like a thrown weapon rogue.
Yeah, and as we went over last week, the prestige class for thrown weapons was actually solid enough.
Yeah,
had decent abilities.
Yeah, that this would not be a terrible 3-level dip going into that.
Yeah. Human Paragon. Let's see. Adaptive learning is class skills is adaptive skill. Yes. One of the big things about the human one is pick 10 skills. They're class skills, and one of those is just a skill for every class.
Okay. It's a class skill for every class. Okay, that's the adaptive learning.
Yeah.
A bonus feat, which is just a bonus feat, and an ability boost of any stat you want.
Yep.
Okay. Sure.
And 2 levels of caster.
And 2 levels of casting if you're a caster.
Yep. Orc Paragon. Again, full attack bonus. Let's see. Improved dark vision. You lose the light sensitivity if you had it. It's technically half elf.
If you're a full-on orc.
Yeah. You hate elves and +2 strength.
+2 strength. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, one doesn't need to be in a orc paragon to hate elves.
No, but it helps.
Does remind me of a character concept that I never got to play.
Like, unless you are saying that the people who work at
yes, it was in Shadowrun, not D&D, but it was the elf who specifically took the elf hater feat.
Those elves know what they did.
Yep.
Is this an Uncle Ruckus situation?
Absolutely.
Amazing.
And Tiefling Paragon, which is the one that confuses me the most, but I guess we had Half Dragon Paragon too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
So there's no ASMR Paragon, so.
They're already the Paragon, the best they can be.
Let's see, improved resistance, can cast darkness. And let's see.
Buff and hide +4.
Yep.
+2.
Yep.
+2 dex.
Oh, the Paragons. This is a Paragon.
Also, good saves across the board.
Oh, it does have good saves across the board. That is.
Which is nice.
Yeah, that is actually nice. All right. On to the class. On to the classes. Or the variant rules for classes. So let's see. Variant character classes. So stopping for a minute. Most of that chapter, while it is technically under the category of variant roles, is pretty
fine.
It's fine. Like everything there, you can just go like, yeah, if any player wants to use this, there's no real reason to say no. Especially like the variant races, the bloodlines are as not broken as they get. The only thing you'd be doing is the silly, strange bloodline levels can have some unintended interactions, which most of the time is a who cares anyways.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And this chapter is kind of more in that direction. So while it is kind of under variant rules, it's not like here's something that's going to alter your campaign. It's more like here's other ways for players to build their characters.
Now,
go ahead.
So one of the things I noticed was a lot of those Paragon races or Paragon classes were what would end up being the typical like 5th ed or 4th ed races. Did they just decide at some point like, this is actually a pretty good set of a spread of commonly selected species for characters? Or is that just coincidence?
I think to some extent it is on popularity, because Half Dragon was a very popular template to take. This eventually leads to Dragonborn being a thing. At least, yeah. Tiefling was also a fairly popular class for people, or race for people to play. Because I'm not entirely sure why, but
because if you don't want to be a scaly, you want to be a demon.
Yeah.
Not judging the scalies. Be scalies all you want, but
yeah.
I am. Fuck them.
It's not very nice.
No, I mean in the way they like.
Oh, in that way, yeah. Well, go nuts.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say, I didn't think you meant that derogatorily. It was more like, Knights of Mars.
But I said we don't judge. Then he said, "Fuck off." Like, oh.
Judging isn't always negative. You can judge someone positively.
This is true. All right, so
the 7.
Yep, the variant classes, or ACFs, which is almost pretty much the foundation of class design in Pathfinder.
Yep.
With just alternate class features, where basically take a class, hey, you don't get this stuff anymore, but instead you get that stuff. Let's see. Like, do you want a clerk that is closer to a caster than
that's
than
more
melee.
straight caster than
Yep. But knows things.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you want a druid that, I believe this one doesn't get an animal companion, but still shape changes? Yes. Doesn't spontaneously summons, but can rage. No, can still wild shape and rage, which is kind of funny. Let's... Variant fighter, which is bad.
Yes, it is.
How so?
Okay, so you lose proficiency in medium heavy armor and with shields. Don't gain your normal fighter bonus feat at level 1. Instead, you gain let's see. No, you can take urban trafficking as a fighter bonus feat. All of this gets you a few more skills on your list and 4+ int modifier skills. So you get a couple. Yeah,
you get to get +2 skills.
Yeah. You pay way too much for +2 skills because they overvalue skills for a lot of the early edition. Or earlier parts of this edition. Monk variant fighting styles, where you basically replace monk feats with other monk feats.
Yep.
I don't think any of these were worth it over the base monk feats. That was the biggest issue with it.
And they get a level 4 bonus of some sort. Or typically, or a level something bonus of some sort, depending. Whether level 4 or level 6.
Yeah. Alright. Now the more
Paladin
interesting
is
stuff.
Perfectly fine and unplayable.
Yeah. But yeah, the Paladin variants for the other corner alignments. A chaotic good, lawful evil, and chaotic evil. But yeah, the Paladin freedom, perfectly fine to play. And the idea is basically the same thing.
Hates slavery, wants to free people.
Yeah.
Still a good guy.
Yep, still a good guy. Trades out immunity to fear for immunity compulsion and bonuses versus it for everyone around them. Slightly different spell list. Obviously a different code of conduct. And the evil ones basically flip the script a little bit. Being not unlike Blackguard, but more just more straight carbon copies of Paladin.
Replace remove blank with cause blank.
Yeah.
Replace good with or evil with good.
Yeah. Lay on Hands gets replaced with Deadly Touch, which is a touch attack that does damage.
Yep. But the really important thing is the codes of conduct.
Yes, the codes of conduct for both of them. Tyranny, not so bad. Did I clip it onto the other page? Yes. Charity, not so bad. Must be lawful evil alignment. Loses all class abilities or willingly commit a good act. Additionally, Paladin of Tyranny's code requires that they respect authorities for as long as strength rule of the week, etc., etc. They're very grading in a party, obviously, of good characters, and will to some extent step on the toes of other evil characters, but that's just kind of a par for the course in an evil campaign of any sort, really.
Yeah.
But
you could at least think of ways you could play a Paladin of Tyranny in a regular party, even if that party isn't necessarily an evil party.
Yeah. Now, the Paladin of Slaughter, on the other hand,
yeah.
lose all class abilities where you commit good act. Paladin of Slaughter's code requires that she disrespect all authority figures who have not proven their physical superiority over, refuse to help those in need, and sow destruction and death at all opportunities.
Good luck existing.
Yeah.
Just general.
We always joke about an extreme version of the code of conduct of, okay, I have to disrespect all laws. I cannot obey laws.
Technically speaking, the 3.5 one doesn't say you have to disrespect all laws.
No, it doesn't.
It does say you have to disrespect all authorities, though.
Yeah.
Which, of course, means that authority...
like, you can't enter a town unless the only thing you're planning on doing is beefing with every fucking person you see.
Yeah. The first thing you have to do is go to the constable and figure out whether or not they're your physical superior, and if they're not, try to beat their ass in.
And then even then, you have to destroy, try and sow destruction and death at all opportunities. Like, how exacting are we being in this? Do I have to just stab everyone I see? That I think I can get away with? Is there just a Paladin of Slaughter running through town, flipping off the cops and punching babies? You can see how Paladins of Slaughter typically wouldn't last long.
Oh, man, I think the LARP is going super great. What classes do we have in here? Well, one guy chose a Ranger. One guy's doing that half-orc Paragon thing for the Unearthed Arcana book. Oh, that's fine. And one guy's doing a Paladin of Slaughter. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Nobody touched the Gatorades. Nobody touched the Gatorades.
Now, the one clause is the authority figure can start... The authority figure that he disrespects can start trying to order the Paladin of Slaughter to do everything that he's actually currently doing.
This is true. If the authority figure is of superior strength, then he should be able to order him around.
There is that too, yes. Which means that his code of conduct at a certain point actually can contradict itself. Yeah. It's the problem of trying to be exemplar of chaotic evil to the point of going chaotic stupid. Let's see. Variant Rangers, Planar Ranger, Urban Ranger.
Oh god, I just thought, you drink water, I drink anarchy. That's my only rule. Was a joke or joke? Sorry, continue.
Oh no, that was the entirety of my statement. Here's the Planar Ranger, here's the Urban Ranger.
Urban Ranger.
You can track things down. Let's see. That's actually interesting. The animal companion for the Planar Ranger gets to have like the celestial or fiendish templates.
Fiendish template.
Yeah. Okay. Rogue variant, Wilderness Rogue. Which is move some skills around basically. Alright. Battle Sorcerer. This one was actually interesting. Basically give up a little bit of spell casting, but it gains well,
yeah. Spellcasting does it actually lose?
Huh?
Spellcasting does it actually lose?
Yeah, Battle Sorcerer has fewer daily slots than the standard sorcerer. Subtract 1 from each spell level.
Okay, loses 1 per spell level, but gets a D8 hit die as opposed to a D4, medium attack bonus.
Yeah, medium attack bonus. Proficiency in any light or one-handed martial weapon, and proficiency in light armor, and ignore spell failure for light armor.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, no, it's actually a solid variant. You can be significantly less squishy, and
You can be significantly less squishy, you get a better attack bonus on any spells you're using that actually use attack rolls are better.
yeah.
You have more spell slots than all the other casters anyways, so losing 1 per level, you still have more spell slots than all the other casters.
Yeah, I think
Not that big of a loss.
It's because everyone else is 5 and they go to 6 normally.
I thought they're 4. I think it's 4 and 6.
Well, it's 4 then plus 1 for the domain for wizards and clerks.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
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 Out of it.
Yeah, it's a perfectly fine variant. By the way, here's the urban tracking skill. No, we don't have to worry about it. Wizard variant domain.
Oh, but the thug fighter can take that.
Technically, yes.
Anyways.
Or sorry, feat, not skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, domain wizards. So good part of so basically here's some themic domains, which would give you your this is your bonus spell or your bonus spell that would normally be of school would instead it has to be
It's
this
now
one, but you don't
domain.
but you don't have a prohibited school at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, which not terrible. This list is not exactly composed of all winners, no matter what you're doing. Like conjuration.
No, but if you want to be like, I don't want to lose on a spell school,
yeah.
I could take one of these and still get something.
Yeah. Conjuration 1 here is pretty solid, honestly.
Conjuration will probably generally be fine.
Yeah. Cold, which includes a delayed blast fireball. It is cold.
But as cold. Yeah.
Comet swarm, meteor swarm, but goes cold. I do actually like that.
Yeah.
It's like, we realize we don't actually have enough cold spells to fill the list, so screw it, we'll just reflavor a couple.
I mean, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Realistically, if any player came to me and said, I want to cast blank spell but does X element instead, and that's like their version of it is just that element, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
As long as you're not doing, I want my spell to be sonic. I know exactly what you're trying to do. Stop it.
But yeah, any of the other 4 elements, those are fine, because
Yeah.
they all have their advantages and disadvantages. Honestly.
And disadvantages.
Yeah.
Yep. If you're like, I want to do an acid fireball. Yeah, sure, you can do acid fireball. Your regular fireball is acid enough. If you want to do a different thing, you have to do it on the table to change fire one.
Yeah. Okay, and now the better class variants than a lot of what we went over, which were done in very quick notes, which is the part that I find funnier. But let's see. For example, here's a fighter one, which gets sneak attack as rogue, but loses all the bonus feats. Yep. Now, doing that as a 20 level class, not good. But if you're just dipping in order to just
if you're dipping to like go into another class that needs sneak attack as like a prerequisite, you can basically just do that as a fighter, get full base attack bonus on larger hit die, and then switch into something else that has a sneak attack requirement to get in.
Yeah. Ranger gains wild shape, loses combat styles, which is amusing. Rogue, which is the literal opposite, that gains bonuses and feats as fighter, loses sneak attack.
Sneak attack, yeah.
Which is also great for qualifying for something that needs like a bunch of skills and a bunch of feats.
Yeah.
What if rogue but fighter? What if fighter but rogue? What if man but horse?
Don't know why I have both these. Okay, yeah, I think I corrected this one by adding things, but forgot to get rid of other stuff. Yeah, sorcerer wizard variant where you get an animal companion, lose familiar. Animal companion is half level because it's a way better feature than familiar.
Yep.
That's fucking duh.
Let's see. Wizard has bonus feat list as fighter, which is funny. Loses scribe scroll and wizard bonus feat list. Yeah, so you lose scribe scroll, which is not really much of a loss and can take and get to
and
take fighter
replace your
bonuses of wizards ones.
in
Again,
your metamagic ones. Yeah.
yeah, which is again good for like qualifying in other prestige classes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the quick and dirty ones actually are almost better in a weird way. Oh yeah, Clark, that replaces Turn Undead with Smite Evil.
100% yes.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Let's see.
Like, even when you get access to some of the decent, like, replace turn.
Well,
feat.
Yeah. Well, Divine Might was. Yeah, again, those were actually Complete Warrior. But if you didn't have Complete Warrior or know about it, or just weren't going to bother taking that feat.
I mean, even if you were just being able to, like, you either have Divine Might from turn dead,
Alternatively,
or you
you
get
actually
Might's perfectly fine to get.
Yeah. Alternatively, if you don't have a good charisma and don't plan on having a good charisma, Smite.
Technically, it's also Aura of Courage.
Okay,
It's
so
Aura of Courage and Smite Evil.
Man, they overvalue Turn Undead. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll take Immunity to Fear and
Immunity to Fear and Aura for Fear bonus for my friends, and Smite Undead for you can have my turn. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't turning undead anyways.
No one ever is.
No, that's why turn undead is mostly a battery for other abilities that use it. I mean, Fifth Ed got it right. Every cleric just has an ability that uses turn undead for something else.
Yeah. Like Turn Undead is one of the two default options for Channel Divinity. Though technically that's from 4th Ed and was ported over into 5th Ed because it was a good idea from 4th Ed.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
There's a reason they added all the feats that were like, hey, you can use Turn Undead to do this. Because it's just a better use of your Turn Undead use.
Yeah, and then they just kind of built that into the class later.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Specialist Wizard variants. I have notes on this.
Oh boy.
You can pick and choose what to replace. So basically, you these are alternate class features for these types of Specialist Wizards. Almost all of them are fine. No one gets to do Conjure. No, just fucking no. Okay, so here's the first one. Let's see. You permanently give up your familiar. The cast time on your summons goes from a full round to a standard action. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Now, mind you, it only gets to do a standard action when you summon it that turn.
Bill?
Yeah. Okay, fine. That's way too stupidly good.
Oh, hey, you get Augment Summoning for free instead of Scribe Scroll.
Hey, you get Augment Summoning instead of Scribe Scroll. And at 5th level, let's see.
It also means you get Augment Summoning without having to spend a feat on Spell Focus Conjuration. That's usually a requirement.
Yep. This costs you your bonus feats, but it comes with more things. Harder to dispel your stuff, which is whatever, or dispel your summons, which is whatever. And 10th level, yeah, you know that Augment Summoning thing, it gets more Augment Summoning. It's more Strength than Con.
And Spontaneous Summons.
Yeah. You're not going to take that one because actually that's your additional spells per day for being a Specialist Wizard. Like that, no, screw it. I can leave that one. But mind you, you don't have to take all of them.
For Spontaneous Summons?
Yeah, but do you need that?
To piss off your DM? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can you can literally just not give.
I mean, you're already doing this. So
you're already doing this. Yeah, exactly. Like, the rest of them are fine and balanced. This was like, no. just straight up no. Yeah, we never had to deal with this at our table because I think anyone who looked at this went like, yeah, no DM should approve of this. I'm not even approving of this. I'm making the character.
House rule. You get to summon something, I get to summon something. Throw down like any given book of overpowered bullshit.
Spontaneous.
Yep, Spontaneous Divine Casters. Let's see, House Rule, Spontaneous Domain. Yep. Yeah, if you want to do a Spontaneous Divine Caster, here you go. Should be noted, this doesn't do the usual thing of Spontaneous usually Spontaneous Casters get their next level up of spells one level later. This is not the case with this one.
Well, they get 0, so if they have the stat, they get.
Yeah.
They're also weird that they get 5, 4, 3.
Well, they get 0. Oh, I see. They get 0 because they also get their domain spells known. So the only thing you can cast of second levels will be your domain spells.
That's not true. You'd have spell casting based on stat.
Well, that's bonus spells that you can cast, not bonus spells known.
Oh, that's true. These are spells known.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's a spell to be spontaneous. They'd be working out spells as opposed to the whole list. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have your domain spells those levels.
Yeah. This is also a rule for druids as well. They basically summon Nature's Ally as their extra known spell because we want to really encourage druids to be more broken for some reason.
I mean, they have it as a spontaneous ability naturally.
I know they do.
Sounds so defeated.
Let's see. Class feature variants, which is pretty much the same as everything we were doing earlier.
Same as previous stuff, yes.
But like just individual class features rather than a giant list. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Favorite environment instead of favorite enemy. This is great if your entire campaign takes place in a dungeon. Otherwise, not as much.
If you know you're only going to be in a desert.
Yeah.
Yep. Rage variant Whirling Frenzy is actually kind of interesting. So instead of the normal bonuses, I believe it's a lower bonus to strength overall.
Well, it's the same strength bonus, at least initially. Doesn't get con at all.
Doesn't get con.
But gets a dodge bonus to AC and Flexus.
Yeah.
And gets an extra attack.
Extra attack, but everything's at -2. But that's usually, honestly, for a barbarian, that's easily worth it. Your attack bonus is astronomical.
I already got +4 for raging. It just cancels out that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Or +4 strength for raging.
Yeah. And yeah, scales up as level goes up.
Yeah, the strength increases still happen.
Yeah, you don't get Indulgent Will, but you gain evasion instead. Well,
that's
which is perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's just fine.
Here's a turn. Yep, here's a turning variant. Level check. Let's see. Turn. Yep, certainly is a thing. It's about as useful as Turn Undead usually is, so. Let's see.
Wild shape variant that is just based on types.
Yep, based on type. This is the first time. I think this is the first wild shape variant where I believe we do not just abandon our stats and yeah.
Well, yeah, it looks like you get to choose. My assumption is you get to choose either one of these or a couple of these.
5th level, you take one aspect from the described below it. 8th level, you take up to 2 aspects simultaneously. Yeah, so you basically start gaining more and more aspects at the same time.
And they just put flat bonus sorts on top of you.
Yeah.
Like agility is a +8 bonus to dex, but -2 to or minus.
Yeah.
Light gives you wing.
Yeah. Some of Mimger levels, like 16 for that one.
The elementals.
Yeah. 8th for agility, but yeah. Well, the first attempt.
A more reasonable.
Yeah.
And much simpler if you don't want to bother with actually having to have a dozen
different monster templates.
Stat blocks in front of you.
Yeah. An easier way to run Druid and less broken. It's one of. Yep. This is not the only attempt in this edition to basically fix Wild Shape by making it less of a pain in the ass to run and less broken.
Yep.
Prestigious character classes. In other words, the base classes, but prestige. Which are an interesting idea, at least.
Yeah.
This is actually more interesting with another variant, which I believe comes immediately afterwards.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Let's see. I think I skipped most of that section because everything there is pretty much what you would think it is.
Gestalt.
Yep. Let's go over this page first, or this
There-
house
there
rule
is
first.
one-
Fractional base
there is-
bonuses.
There is one not fractional. One prestige version of the class. I'm really interested in how it actually functions.
Which one?
If you do a prestige version of a class, does it have all the class abilities that class would normally get
Yes-ish.
at like the same levels?
By its nature, no. Like for example, yeah, because this goes up to Inspired Courage +4 at 15. Oh, this has 15 levels of Prestige class.
15 levels. Yeah, loses a couple spellcasting levels. Okay, what is Prestige Fighter?
That is a good question. Okay.
What is Prestige Fighter, and why would you possibly take it over just taking fighter levels?
Okay. This is something I probably should put in my own notes for the Prestige classes. There are only 3.
Okay.
There is Prestige, which makes sense because they actually correspond to classes that have been kind of in and out of base classes and or sometimes attached to other classes. Prestige Bard, for example, I think occasionally got attached to Rogue. Paladin got attached to Fighter. And Ranger, I think, got attached to various things. But those are the only 3 Prestige classes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you really want to be a battle cleric, you could take a couple of those clerics and go into Prestige Paladin.
Yeah. Which you lose like half your spellcasting, but yeah, you lose half your spellcasting, but
I mean, I had ideas for doing like Cleric 12, Fighter 8 anyways, because it's enough to get you your 4th iterative attack.
Yeah.
And you still end up with like 12th level spells, so you still or 6th level spells, so you still end up getting stuff like
Yeah.
As just a like not as powerful as just being straight cleric, but an interesting way to do a combat cleric. And having something like a prestige paladin to do, a handful of levels, and that would give you full base attack bonus and still keep some of your spellcasting progression as well.
Yeah.
Would be interesting.
Let's see. But yeah, fractional bonuses for a moment. If you want to make multi-classing a bit more powerful for some strange reason, this is literally the actual math of the game. It's just they round off the fractions, usually.
Technically, this is in there to make multi-classing less powerful.
Yes.
Because it means using this means you don't just get like I went to new class +2 to my save. Oh, I did new class +2 to my save.
Oh, you do actually, because you get +2.5. Because it still does that. It's just that like here's where it basically keeps your fractions rather than getting rid of them.
Mm.
So if anything, it actually makes that part more powerful. Which for attack bonus is fine, and for poor saves is fine. It's the good saves where there's a rub, because for some reason good saves start at a +2.5.
Yep.
But yes, the Gestalt in the room. Yep. So I have run 2 different Gestalt campaigns all the way to
Balancing Gestalt characters. Good luck.
Yeah. Balancing Gestalt characters is actually really easy. The DM knows that this is a Gestalt campaign and is just making up monsters ad hoc. Don't even worry about it. Don't worry about experience. Just you kind of need to be reasonably experienced and knowledgeable with the system and understand what or what will be challenging to whatever the player's made. Have a rough idea of the power level of the party, but it is perfectly runnable. Gestalt itself is something we should actually probably explain, however. Basically, you take 2 classes and you shove them together. You take the best of everything from those 2 classes.
So if you have like a wizard fighter, you take your good base attack bonus from wizard or from fighter. You take your hit die from fighter. You take your will save from wizard. You take your fort save from fighter. You take your skills from wizards. I think they're 4 instead of 2. You get all the class features of both.
Wizards only 2 for skills.
2 skills in it. Yeah,
it's just
you basically of each thing.
Yeah,
of each thing you'd pick the best.
Yeah. Now, mind you, this doesn't smooth over the interactions that don't work. So a fighter, wizards, while they can still wear armor, they still have armor check penalty, or they still have arcane spell failure on
or like
from wearing it.
If you're a barbarian, wizard, you still can't cast spells while raging.
Yeah.
You still have to follow all the rules of the classes that you do have.
Yeah. Which does make some combinations literally incompatible. You can't be a barbarian paladin because one of them you have to be chaotic, the other
one has to be
non-lawful,
the other has to be
yeah.
The barpaladin.
Yeah. Or there's some spackle and duct tape. We're already making shit up anyways. Yeah, go ahead and do it.
I think I'm pretty sure there's eventually a feat that lets you do it anyway.
I believe there is a feat at some point that lets you do it.
In one of the books that lets you get away with it.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a fun and interesting variant. It goes incredibly insane in the edition that encourages you to take prestige classes and multi-class and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And quite frankly, works a bit better with Pathfinder, where staying around a class is more what you're actually supposed to be doing rather than multi-classing all over the place.
Yeah, with Pathfinder, there's a decent chance you just pick 2 base classes and stick with them the entire game, because you're more likely to stay in a base class in Pathfinder anyways. Whereas 3.5, you're taking 2 classes to 5, and then you're jumping into prestige classes all over the place. So
yeah,
it's just kind of utter chaos.
As an aside, my Gestalt campaign itself was also used to play around with a bunch of different various rules I just wanted to try, or interesting ideas for boss encounters. Like the time system we really liked.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Yes, and here's our advice on balancing it. This belongs in a trash can. I mean, that's how it was made, but like,
let's balancing. Good luck.
Yeah. Just in general, for just all characters, multiplying characters. Yeah, challenge rating equal to average level +1 as opposed to average level. They will destroy anything that is challenge rating average level +1.
+1 is not enough.
No. Mind you, it is kind of based on. Okay, that is and isn't true. It depends on exactly what you're letting your players do with Gestalt. Mine was literally just go nuts. If you were trying to rein it in more and said like, okay, you pick 2 base classes and add them together, but that's it. It would probably be a bit more reined in.
Like, since we're fully talking about Gestalt, in one of your Gestalt campaigns, I had a character. This was Pathfinder technically.
Yeah.
That utilized a version of Pathfinder Summoner, which we've already talked about summoning being an issue. But Pathfinder Summoner basically gets a super animal companion summon creature that they basically have, effectively. And there's a variant that instead of summoning this creature, you basically just mesh it onto yourself and you get all the abilities that would have. I use this to give my character 28 pairs of arms, all of which then wielded weapons, with feats that, when I got a critical hit with my 15 through 20 weapons, I would also get to do a free shield slam, and using the Book of 9 Swords that we'll get to eventually later on, classes effectively, was able to do 2 full attack actions in a single turn. Further compounding the nonsense of this and calculating out how much attacks and damage I did was that every time I crit, I also got a +1 to attack and damage. I think I spent roughly an hour figuring out the actual math of what I did in a single round of combat with that, because I basically had to go through, check and confirm like 50 some odd attacks, and then extra attacks I got for all those crits twice.
Yeah.
Using average damage the entire time to make it fast.
This was notably our last session and was supposed to be our last session of that game, so it was just like, okay, how nuts can you get this?
Dude, the stupidest stuff. And that still didn't do anywhere near close to what Carrot Board would do with regular,
just normal rules of the game. Yeah.
I wasn't doing I wasn't a million damage hulking hurler.
Yeah.
So there,
Oh, go ahead.
I have a lot of ideas for campaigns that are tucked away, some that I actively think could be used, and some that were made for fun, and one that straddles the line between the two does involve Gestalt. Because just from a fluff standpoint, the idea of slamming two of these, archetypes together is funny to me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I had created a short campaign that revolved around the concept of smashing two of everything together. So like your Gestalt characters were traveling around in a world where like two random animals would be smashed together Avatar style to create new animals. Like buildings always served a dual purpose.
Dual purpose. I like it.
Yeah, it got Vancian at times, and anyone who's familiar with the world of Vance knows that's not necessarily a compliment. But it is always an idea that I've wanted to go back to, but the Gestalt system just seemed so wild. I never knew if it was going to be worth the trouble.
So the interesting thing about the Gestalt system is you can also just use this with other systems besides 3.5. It's not actually a hard concept to adapt to practically anything. If you want to Gestalt 5th edition, you could literally almost follow these rules verbatim.
It works well for anything that has established classes.
Yeah, as long as it's an established class system. Obviously.
If it doesn't have established classes, it doesn't really work. It's based around slamming two classes together to have the best of each.
Fair enough.
But as long as you have established classes, yeah, go nuts.
Yeah. The main thing is it does require a DM that has a decent level of system mastery over the game you're playing, which for 3.5 is a very hard
was
run.
my barrier in 3.5.
Yeah.
I'm one of those apologists who actually likes 4th edition a lot.
The thing about 4th edition is it is the orange to the apple that is 3.5 and 5th edition.
Yeah, it was very different, and that's why a lot of people didn't like. I do not want to get off on a tangent about 4th edition. I'm sorry. We were about to walk off that ledge, and I was like, no.
If we continue on to other systems, 4th edition is definitely on my docket because it does have interesting stuff to talk about.
I will leave it at Gestalt would probably be fun in 5th edition because it's a lot more people could wrap their heads around 5th edition / whatever we're calling 2024.
It's still 5th edition.
Just for the 2020.
Yeah. It's 5th edition rules update. Yeah.
Basically, if you're like either most people just either say 5th edition, 2014 or 5th edition, depending on which one they're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Generic classes. This is one of my favorite favorite things in this chapter, actually. So the idea is these replace the base classes. And they are generic as hell classes, where you have...
Expert.
Yep. You have Expert, and Warrior, and Spellcaster, and that's it. They come with a bunch of bonus feats. Experts spread them out a bit, but Expert also gets... Let's see. 2 good saves and 1 poor... Oh, yeah, you also decide on where your saves go.
And what your saves are. Yep.
But Expert chooses any 12 skills as their class skills, plus Crafted Profession. I think everyone has Crafted Profession.
It's just an actual, like a pseudo-actual class version of the Expert.
Yeah.
NPC class.
Yeah. It is very customizable with what you can get, obviously, because of all the bonus feats. And all of these bonus feats, for all 3 of them, can be also this list of abilities over here. Which have prerequisites. So you could have evasion. You have to have a base. You have a prerequisite of a base reflex save of +3. But yeah, as one of these bonus feats, you can instead take evasion, or I don't know why you're taking familiar, or
favorite enemy.
Favorite enemy, which is okay, but the sneak attack is where you get a little weird because it's basically hide and move silently, and it's like So at level 1, it's 2d6. At level 11, or not
improved sneak attack.
8, yeah, and that one is 15. But yeah, it has a very jumpy thing for sneak attack.
2 then adds 3 +3, and then adds +4.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But it is interesting. So you can have like a fighter that also has like a couple sneak attack dice.
Yeah.
As one of its feats. Warrior is notably actually fairly strong because, let's see, what they give up to get this versatility is proficiency in heavy armor and proficiency with tower shields.
Okay.
Yeah, which is easily worth the trade.
It's just fighter with more choices.
It is fighter with more choices.
With the only exception being they don't have access to the fighter.
No, they don't have access to fire feats. By the way, these bonus feats are any feats. Not just fighter feats, or not just whatever feats. You can take these bonus feats as literally any feats in the game.
Well, except you can't take them as the fighter-specific feats because they require fighter.
That's true. You cannot take the weapon
you
focus
can't take
and weapon
improved weapon
specialization.
focus or weapon specializations.
Yes. Which...
Because those are limited to fighter.
But those are limited to fighter. But who cares?
But also who cares?
Yeah. Also, you get to actually choose what your class skills are for fighter.
Yeah.
Or warrior.
For all of them, it looks like.
Yes. Now, mind you, that it does actually become an actual limitation. Later, there are fighter feats that are actually worth being in Fighter 4 that come out in a later book, but that is a much later book.
Yeah.
They're also very good for just getting into a prestige class. But yeah, I just find this neat as hell. And when 3.5 is actually at its best is when you're basically given a bunch of Lego bricks to build your class with, and this is almost straightforwardly just that.
Wait, does the spellcaster get to choose from cleric, druid, and sorcerer wizard list?
May select spells known from cleric, druid, and sorcerer wizard lists. Must choose whether arcane or divine. Yes.
Cute.
Yeah. And they're a spontaneous caster with so they cast like as sorcerer basically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see. If you're divine, you use wisdom. If you're arcane, it's your choice of intelligence or charisma.
Or charisma.
Yeah. By the way, the correct answer is divine. Just straight up is just divine, I think, on that.
Yeah, because divine doesn't have to deal spell check penalty.
No. I mean, you don't actually have armor proficiency. You have proficiency, as a matter of fact, one simple weapon. So.
Yeah, but you can get like no penalty on light armor with mithril, no problem.
Yeah, mithril shirt is straight up no penalty. You can wear a mithril shirt even if you don't have proficiency
without failing because you're using divine casting and arcane casting.
Yeah.
Also lets you multi-class in both arcane and divine.
Yeah, come off a class between arcane and divine spellcaster. So
Cute.
if you wanted to be one of the like dual hybrid prestige classes later. But yeah. No, now the clause here is this does replace all other base classes in the game. So you can only have these, I guess, technically 4 classes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a neat as hell option and incredibly customizable. Alright. Building characters. This is where we get into the more hardcore systems. This is where we get into the more hardcore systems that actually change the fundamental rules of the game and is more on the purview of stuff the DM might or might not want to do. So we'll start with the stuff the DM probably doesn't want to do. Alternate skill systems. Do you find the skills of 3.5 too complex? Why are you playing 3.5? Like. Of all the complex systems within 3.5, the skills are not anywhere close to on the list of things I give a fuck about. Like you're playing Math the Edition. This is pretty low on my list of problems I have with it. But any case, first variant is maximum ranks, limited choices. This is basically 5th edition's more or less take on it, where you pick a number of skills and you're just basically considered to have maximum ranks in it. Fighters continue to be shafted by this. Complex skill. Yes, other variants. Let's see. Level-based skills here. Yep. Yes. So this one's a much simpler way of doing it for anyone who doesn't really want to think about it. Basically, if it's a class skill, you roll a d20. You don't bother putting ranks in anything. You just roll a d20, add your character level, and then add modifiers. If it's a cross-class skill, you just don't add character level.
Okay.
This gives you a very broad proficiency in a lot of things, but it's going to be basically a -3 on all. On something you would normally have max ranks in, it would be a -3 because you technically start at 4, or you could start at up to 4 ranks in a thing because of the wonky nonsense that is 3-5 skill system.
And not 1 per level. 4 at level 1, 1 every level after.
Yeah.
Or 2 at level 1, half every level after.
Yeah. Multi-classing and combined all skill lists. Consider skills in both lists as class. Yeah, because notably this is character level. So multi-classing just gives you more skills that you just straight up add character level to. Let's see. Complex skill checks. This is basically 4th edition skill challenges, which
have the party do a handful of checks.
Yeah.
Need X number of successes.
Yeah. Need X number of successes. Kind of meant to, or it's an idea. I'm not a huge fan of it because it's kind of a let's replace all this role playing with more dice rolling. Like, you could do it kind of on the side or in addition to dice rolling for something or another, but at a certain point, it's like, are we just rolling dice to roll dice?
Yeah, I think it works best if you're doing it. I think skill challenge type stuff like that works best when it's done in conjunction with other things occurring. Like, oh, you guys are trying to make your way through, like, an incredibly complex lock. So one person's making skill checks to try and get through the lock, or maybe multiple people make skill checks trying to get the lock. Other people are doing skill checks unrelated to that, of like, oh, there's a guard coming down the hallway. Okay, well, I'm going to use diplomacy to distract him. And other members of the party are basically doing things to allow the a separate subset of members of the party continue working on the skill check thing.
Yeah.
And basically, how long they have to keep this up now challenging is going to get is based on how long it takes them to get through it. Checks they have to get.
And where
it works well in situations like that.
Yeah. And where the successes and failures actually like change the situation, and then the party kind of has to adapt, might break out into combat or something, or stuff like that.
Yeah, or like even could break out into combat, and during the combat, someone can still be working on games like anything of incredibly complex lock.
Yeah.
You could still have people like working on trying to get the lock open just in the middle of combat, like, I'm still working on this, keep covering me, guys, type thing.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I need to go deal with that guy, someone else work on this, and then you have party members swap out and someone else is doing checks to get your total of like kind of like 5 checks, whatever, or 6 checks, whatever you need to succeed.
Yeah.
Or finally get through it.
Let's see. Character traits. Yes. So again, I don't remember if we used character trait much, but this is a pretty simple one. You can have character traits. I believe it was up to 2 or something like that. But yeah, basically they come with a benefit, they come with a drawback. These are strangely too well balanced. Like +2 initiative, but -1 AC. +1 bonus to unarmed attack rolls and grapple checks, but -1 penalty on all other attacks, which is just, note this does not. Yeah, a character with it doesn't apply to natural weapons. Character with improved unarmed strike feat can't take this, nor can a monk.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that sounds good up until the fact that monk.
I don't think we ever used those in 3.5. We definitely use traits in Pathfinder.
Well, Pathfinder has its own traits, and those are weirder.
Yeah.
I don't know if these ever got used. I don't think we would have stopped anyone from using them. Something we absolutely used, however, were character flaws. You could take up to 2 character flaws at character creation. Each flaw you take gives you a bonus feat.
Yep.
This got a lot of uses from us in character creation, just to especially later in the edition when you started to have large amounts of feat chains, and or if we're trying to actually get things to basically just work.
Yep.
And some of them are definitely better than others. And also can be custom tailored to whatever you were actually doing. So like Feeble, for example, -2 penalty on strength, dex, or constitution based ability scores and checks is kind of a who cares if you're a caster anyways, because you're almost always bypassing any of these. Okay, it's not actually who cares if you're a caster, because concentration is still con.
But you do stuff like Shaky, where if you're just planning on only doing melee and never really doing range, taking a -2 penalty on range rolls isn't really that bad for a feat.
Or something like non-combatant can be good for...
Or non-combatant if, like, I'm a wizard. I don't plan on doing touch attacks.
Yeah.
Or, like, melee touch attacks, non-combatant's perfectly fine.
Yep. Yeah, the ones you would never take are the save ones, though. Like, -3 fortitude save. It's just I'm not doing that.
Yeah, -3 do a save as well.
Yeah. But yeah, the flaws would come up on occasion, but not very often, the ones you were taking. But on the other hand, you were also getting feats, and feats aren't exactly amazing. It's largely I'm either trying to qualify for a prestige class or I'm doing a silly thing. Again,
some prestige classes do have, like, take this 4-feet chain.
Yeah.
And getting an extra feat or two is just helpful for making that happen.
Especially if you're not a human. And it was also one of the reasons why humans were just generally considered the best class in the game.
Yes, humans are the best class.
Yes, exactly. I know what I said.
Can I be a half-elf human?
Sure.
Excellent.
So you say that, but, like, dwarf and elf used to be class.
Doesn't spread me.
Yep. Alright, Spelltouched Feats. I don't know why that's in... Okay, I know why it's in this book, but again, this is back to the whole, like, you could have just thrown this into Complete Arcane, and I wouldn't have batted an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, the idea here is you were exposed to this spell or of one sort or another. Here's a neat little feat you can take over here. Because of it.
Yeah.
And
the prerequisites are exposed to a given spell. So.
Yep.
Are you hit with a fireball?
Somebody cast Stone Skin on you? You can just have damage reduction, I guess. And your skin gives you an armor check penalty, but hey. Not actually as big a deal. But yeah. Nothing amazingly good here from what I remember, but it's just kind of an interesting little thing. And again, doesn't really need to actually be in this book. It's like, if anyone wants to take these feats, I would never stop them. Okay, weapon groups. This is a very overly complicated idea, but the gist of it is, yeah, you know how there's like exotic weapons that are really kind of annoying to actually get proficiency with because you have to take a feat to get proficiency with them? This is a way of getting around that, sort of. Because
you end up getting groups of weapons, which can include there's exotic ones like exotic double weapons,
yeah,
etc.
I don't think I put it on the other page. So basically, there's exotic weapon groups which will add. There's exotic double weapon. I don't know why I didn't put the exotic weapon group, but there is weapon group exotic weapons, which will give you all the exotic weapons that happen to belong to the other weapon groups you have.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, based on your classes, how many of these you actually get, it's an idea. It is definitely an idea, and it is a way of at least using all of these exotic weapons that are in the game. Except the big flaw of it is almost because this is printed in Unearthed Arcana, and it assumes you don't own any other books. It doesn't have any of the exotic weapons from the other books. So if you found something interesting in the other books, you would kind of have to talk to your DM about what's appropriate for, yeah.
Like, it does also do some cute stuff, like it turns all the weapon specific feats into weapon group feats effectively.
Yeah.
So, like, weapon focus longsword instead become weapon focus, pick a weapon group and affect that entire weapon group.
Yeah. And even outside of like the exotic weapons, it does also let you for example, have rogues that use bastard swords or use not bastard, great swords or other things like that. And yeah,
I mean, a great sword rogue is perfectly viable.
Yeah.
Nothing says you have to be a dex-based rogue.
No, you can be a strength-based rogue.
You can just be strength-based and wield a great sword. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking Monster Hunter joke.
Oh.
I'm just gonna walk down the street, and the camera pans back to the rogue who's undoing like a great blade from his back.
I mean, Monster Hunter, you can sneak attack monsters.
You can sneak attack bitches with great swords. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
I do it to start every fight. I've been called out. You guys know.
Yeah,
it's true.
Oh yes. This also triggered a completely different rant in me while I was reading this as I read my own notes.
No.
It's basically, well, okay. The problem, there is an inherent problem of weapons in 3.5 in the sense that they didn't balance this at all. A lot of the exotic weapons are just a complete freaking waste of time and effort. That they are like subpar stat wise in comparison to one of the martial weapons. At a certain point, you just go like, can I just pretend that this martial weapon is this exotic weapon, and we'll just use the stats for that, and it's just a fluff thing.
No, waste your feet.
Waste my feet. It would make my character worse. Yeah, it's.
How else are we going to prevent you from getting overpowered? Not this will stop you, but
no, not at all. Also, in general, it's like, as far as RPGs in a more broad sense, there's two different approaches you can have to like weapons in, say, a fantasy setting, or in any setting really. It's either the really genericized and the individual type of weapon is just basically fluff, or you actually make the choices between the individual weapons interesting. This kind of does neither, but
I was going to say, why don't we do neither?
Yeah. But more as a broad philosophy, I'm not actually sure which one is better, as I do like the idea that weapons act differently, but at the same time, the more you do that, the more complexity you are putting on character creation, combat, etc. So
yeah, it's like, do you need all your weapons to have unique features, or is it just fine to have like, you have a light blade, you have a heavy blade.
Yeah.
Here's what a light blade does. Here's what a heavy blade does.
Yeah. And
pretty much.
And how nuanced within that. It is very much a matter of what type of system did you design and how much do you want to attach to each weapon.
Yeah.
But it is kind of an open and interesting idea. Or do you want to just say screw it and this whole thing is fluff? It's like, you have melee weapons, you have ranged weapons, here's just the basics of it, and don't worry about it.
I mean, it makes at least some sense to have some like light subset. So like you want to have melee weapons, reach melee weapons, etc. Like, yeah. But you could get away with having maybe like 4 or 5 subcategories and then being done with it.
Yeah,
or if you're Gary Gygax, one of the articles you worked on involved, one of the early things he did was actually polearms. I think like almost literally every European polearm that ever existed, with unique rules for each of them. Which is
I think it's best to either go small or go large, but don't try and middle ground.
Yeah,
I can no longer go large.
Like do 4 or 5 groups that kind of cover everything generically, and you can call like, oh, here's the spear group. It also covers polearms and shit. And you have a halberd, you have a guisarme, you have a blue sword, or whatever. They're all polearms.
Yeah.
Or be like, all these are distinct weapons with actual rule differences. Also, there's 25 more.
Yes.
Polearm. Not weapons in general. 25 more polearm. You want daggers? What kind?
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Yep.
Like, either go nuts or go small.
Yeah. Craft points. This gives out points that lets you plop out items quickly. They're meant for campaigns where the downtime is unrealistic. This is an interesting idea. I don't think we did much weapon crafting in 3.5. That was much more of a Pathfinder thing.
Well, because it costs XP in 3.5.
Yeah, because it costs XP in 3.5, and the XP doesn't disappear whatsoever. But I do actually like the idea of I'm not designing a campaign where we're going to have a bunch of downtime, but I feel like you should be able to craft items. So here's a different limitation on it, so you don't just
fine.
Yeah. All right, the adventuring chapter. This is where the chapters really start to blend together. Because we're basically just going into, and here's just alternate roles. Don't worry too much about it.
Yep.
Right. So first things first. Defensive bonus.
No more armor. Just get a bonus.
Yep. No more armor. Just get a bonus. The interesting thing about defensive bonus is it actually applies to touch attacks. It's also like one of the very few alternate rules that actually benefits fighter.
Does it?
Yes, because the bonus is based on what your armor proficiencies are. So,
well, no, the bonus is based on your class.
It is based on your class, but fighter has actually got the best bonus.
Because it does.
Yeah.
It has the people who have heavy armor proficiency.
Yeah.
There is also bonuses for based on what armor proficiency you have.
Yeah.
Base classes.
But yeah, it is basically based on whatever your armor proficiencies are. And you can't just take an armor proficiency feat to just bump yourself up a column.
Correct.
But yeah, this changes this obviously changes your need for armor to like, okay, armor is basically whatever you want to enchant it with. And you don't really have to worry about the bonus. It also makes it so it makes it so fighters at least have, or fighters actually get a decent AC from this without having to like try and slodge around in full plate or hat or anything like that. Well, which I do like, but yeah, like of the variant rules, I'm actually more surprised. I'm not entirely surprised we didn't do this one, but I do actually just straight like this one. The only issue being like it doesn't really like armor basically just exists to be another magic item slot. Although I'm mostly fine with that. And granted, it works. Also, the other thing you can do is add this one to, or add the armor as damage reduction to
armor as DR.
Yeah. So if you add these two together, it also makes armor more, or brings armor back to being more interesting. This role is about as self-explanatory as it gets. Basically,
it eats some of the AC you would get, but turns.
Yeah. Which we never used this role, and if the DM gave me the option of using armor as DR or just the armor bonus, I would just go with the armor bonus.
I'm back.
Welcome back. Okay, it actually depends on what level of the campaign we're at. Like at earlier levels, the DR could be useful, but like as you just scale up later, the DR doesn't do much of anything.
Yeah.
Monsters don't gain that many more attacks, but the amount they hit.
The numbers definitely go up.
Yeah, the numbers definitely go up. But yeah, if you're also using the defensive bonus variant, it's like, okay, so armor gives me DR. I will actually wear armor for DR because it's not actually costing me anything when it comes to AC, because the AC is coming from the defensive bonus anyway. So yeah, it all adds up in the end. The other nice thing about the defensive bonus is it's actually it does exist kind of as a minor guardrail, and actually constrains the math a little bit more, in the sense that a player that isn't as focused on their AC or doesn't know the math of the addition well enough to know like, or isn't trying to like max out their AC, is still the party's going to end up with AC that's like more close to each other, give or take, or more close to a more cluster around a single number set. So you can kind of get so you're not going to have as big a variance of like the wizard is stupidly easy to hit and the fighter is stupidly hard to hit. Like, the difference at levels is... that's a difference of 20%. I think it is about a difference of, let's see, 5... 6, yeah, it's about 20% on each level, which is not terrible.
Well,
Chance.
ish.
Not terrible.
It does... It's gonna typically bring up the caster ACs.
It is.
I don't know if it necessarily brings up the fighter ACs a ton, but...
So, since it... not as much. It depends on what their dex is, because this does give them...
I mean, it does also allow a fighter, like both range fighter loves it.
Yeah, range fighter absolutely loves it.
He can just go full dex and get an even better AC than he was going to get anyway.
Yeah. Melee fighter might be...
Because he wasn't picking up 12 armor.
Yeah. Yeah, because 5 on top of, was it like... It was 4 for... Yeah, so 9 is about as high as they would get for enchanted armor.
Whereas this allows them to get 12.
Yeah.
Do like a +1 with a bunch of different bonuses if they want armor.
Yeah.
For significantly cheaper, and then just max out to like do like something that doesn't have a dex cap on it, and then just max out their dex like crazy.
Yeah.
Which they were.
But yeah, the biggest problem with both of these variants is the addition isn't really as well built for it, so there's a lot of fudging that you kind of have to think about, and or it's something you have to keep in mind when building encounters as a DM. So
yeah,
that does play into it a decent amount. Let's see. Damage conversion.
Natural armor is DR.
Yep. Yeah, that's part of the armor's damage reduction.
Oh.
Yeah. Natural armor also translates to more DR, which is good and bad.
I mean, player flat also gets silly, so. And again, this is really only a penalty on marshals, because casters don't give a shit about
yeah, casters don't give a shit about where your DR is. They also don't give a shit about where your natural armor is either, so it's not like that changes much either.
Yeah.
It just makes it so... It makes it so it's easier for marshals to hit, but they're going to do less damage per hit, so it helps the big two-handers a bit more. But that's probably a fine trade-off, considering those are the weaker of the two martial types.
And it hurts the dual wielders more, which is...
Not the best. Well, it doesn't, it doesn't. They do hit better, because they do still encounter AC. It also depends on how high it's getting.
I mean, it's helping both sides hit better.
Yeah, it is helping.
It's just I need to do twice the attacks to do the damage of the two-handed guy, except now I have to eat DR from both my hits.
Yeah. Player characters don't usually have anywhere near as much natural armor, so it doesn't really...
No, but this is a case of the natural armor thing is going to affect monsters.
It absolutely is going to affect monsters. It mostly just affects monsters.
Yeah, it mostly just affects monsters. It means the dual wielder is going to get hit harder than the two-hander is, because the two-hander only needs to get one attack through to get damage, as opposed to two, comparative. Except the dual wielder has to eat hits against DR twice, as opposed to...
I'm sorry, I now have to step away. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. If that said, the amount of DR they're getting isn't that amazing, because this is how much... I
mean, the biggest up there against the table is 8, but yeah.
Yeah. And if they're getting to that, they have like 40 natural armor.
8 less damage from attack, still 8 less damage from attack from.
It is, but that's... I think that's at like epic play. You're going to see stuff with like 40 natural armor, which has other issues. But yeah, what you're going to see is like a 1 or 2. Which does eat up a decent amount of damage when you're making like 8 attacks, so... And they're getting like a 5 or 10% chance to hit. So yeah, I think I see the argument there. And again, you could just not have this part.
Yeah, like I could see it being at high levels. It gets mitigated somewhat by the fact their bonuses get your flat gets pretty big, but it still hurts dual wielders more. At low levels, if you do start running into stuff that has like 10 natural armor, so you're looking for 20s to hit it, but it has 2 DR, can get annoying. Although 20 is kind of high for low level.
Yep. Okay, so this damage conversion we've been staring at. So basically, it's a way of making armor, or attempting to make armor slightly better, and it does kind of need some help. So basically, whatever armor bonus you have, when you take physical damage, that much is converted into non-lethal damage, because, hey, do you want to do some more math in this edition?
Well, you see, you're also using the conjunction with the variant that makes your defense a, rather than 10 plus your AC, it's a D20 plus your AC every time your opponent attacks you.
Like, you're forgetting, I love math.
That was chaos.
Yep. Alright, injury. Let's see, this replaces HP with an overbuilt fortitude save system. Every part of this idea is horrible. Yeah, so you don't have HP. Instead, whenever you take damage, you make a fortitude save. Have our...
Sure, nothing can go wrong there.
And suffer effects based on how much you fail to save by.
Yep. So basically, if you take a hit, you've suffered a minor injury. Every hit is a cumulative -1 to the fortitude save to resist injury. Yep. Yeah, so if you only fail by 1 through 9, you take a hit. If you fail by 10 or more, you are disabled. This is the... Yeah, this is... you can... This is... So in this edition, when you're at 0 hit points, you have the disabled condition. Which means you can only take a move or a standard action, I believe. If you take a standard action, you lose 1 hit point and then start dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the biggest and stupidest flaw of this, obviously, is this is a save. If you roll 1, you fail.
Yep. 5% chance to just die.
Technically speaking, rolling a 1 for failing when this one doesn't automatically make you fail, really?
No, that's right here. A natural 1 is always treated as if you had failed by 10 or more.
Okay. And that's what's always says you failed by 10 or more. Okay, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, this was already a bad idea, and then you just shot it straight in the foot.
But like technically, rolling a 1 wouldn't matter because this is based on how much you failed by. But yeah, if they just make it automatically, you roll a 1, so you immediately get disabled.
So what you're saying is I only need 20 peasants to hit a dragon, and statistically, it will be disabled.
Man, yep.
Yeah.
I mean, disabling the dragon doesn't stop him from kicking ass, but...
No, but it significantly hinders him. And assuming there's enough peasants alive in the next round, they might actually be able to get him to fail another save. Let's see. Other variants on hit points. Here's a section where I forgot to take notes, but I do actually remember this one.
Vitality point.
Vitality point. Yeah, so basically in addition to your normal hit points, you have vitality points. So you do have an extra pool of hit points, but taking damage in this one is really, really bad because it causes, I believe, levels of... yeah, so you take wound damage. Yeah, so whenever you take wound damage, even a single hit point, you become fatigued. Note. Yeah, okay, additional wounds don't make you exhausted. Anytime an attack deals wound damage to your character, he must succeed in a fortitude save or be stunned for a d4 rounds. So basically, your normal hit points, and you get all of your full normal hit points, act as a buffer for your vitality points. Once that's done, you'll start taking damage to vitality points, and you get side effects and can become stunned from taking that. In and of itself, all of that is fine.
Like, it doubles your health, effectively.
Well, it doubles your health at level 1. So let's go over to this critical hits section. So critical hits are no longer a multiplier. Instead, they just straight up do damage to your wounds.
I mean, it gives you extra hit points at every level. You also get your vitality.
Oh, you get your vitality die. Okay. So it is a little bit better.
A character gains a vitality die. Every level a character rolls a vitality die.
Okay, so yeah, this more or less doubles your hit points.
Yeah, it doubles your health.
Yeah. Okay, that makes the system a little better. Okay, yeah, I didn't notice that part. This does make the system a little bit better, because that does mean, like, a critical hit isn't going to completely fucking murder you at higher levels.
Yep.
Yeah, because you're also adding Constitution. Okay, this works a little better than I initially thought. Because like, okay, but critical hits will...
critical hits go straight to wound points.
Yeah, so critical hits go straight to wound points, yeah. Now, mind you, a critical hit is very likely to just straight up stun you for D4 rounds at higher levels, because the DC is going to just get astronomical, because it's 5 plus whatever amount of damage you just took.
Yeah. I mean, crits don't multiply anymore, though, so...
No, they don't multiply anymore, which is good, but even without the multiplier, that's...
I mean, a dragon's still going to hit you for like 30 damage.
Yeah.
Gives you DC 35 check to make, but...
Yeah.
And other people can do a standard action to stun you. So if you roll a 4, someone could do a standard action to basically help you recover. If you only roll a 1 for a round.
Yeah, if you only roll a 1, you just stand around for a round. If it's anything higher, somebody can, using it. Somebody or somebody's familiar can use an action in order to... Oh, no, wait, no. Vitality, sorry. Vitality is your basic hit points. Yeah, you have a number of... that's right, your wound points are actually your con score.
Oh, that's what the D20 Star Wars game did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that system.
Okay, yeah.
Trying to figure out where it sounded familiar from.
This is what I get for not actually having notes on this one for some reason.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, no, yeah, so far more lethal wounding. Or far more lethal crits. Yeah, after a while you're just going to straight up go to, like, 0 vitality whenever you take a crit from a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know if they end up doing it with this system, but in the Star Wars one, there are also some attacks that just bypass vitality, go straight to wound.
Yeah. On the other hand, it is a system that's actually hypothetically built around that one, so you could make it so, yeah. Whereas D&D is most distinctly not, and when you just get into, like, anything with a big anything with a big flat bonus to damage, like any bruiser, if it happens to just roll a crit, that character is chances are going to have no vitality left.
Yeah, or they're dealing with one of those weapons that has an extended crit range.
Well, they don't increase crit modifiers.
They don't increase crit modifiers. It just means
you do get bigger threat ranges. Yeah, like even the crit modifier gets turned into threat range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything is threat range, basically.
Yeah. Reserve point.
Yep, reserve points. Basically non-magical healing, or a way of doing non-magical healing if you're not actually kind of an idea for trying to not, like, have healing spells and a healer of some sort be a necessity in this edition.
It's pseudo short rest.
It is pseudo short rest, yeah. It's an idea. It's probably not enough to say, hey, you guys don't need a cleric following you around anymore, or a druid who takes a lot of cure spells, or something. Literally anything.
How many reserve points do you have? Okay, equal to your full total.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally short rest healing.
Yeah, it is basically, yeah. So it's
just rather than rolling hit dice, you just have a pool that is equal to your full total hit point.
Yeah.
And you can rest and heal one of them.
Yeah, which is not awful. It just has the issue of your day-to-day healing is still character level, I believe, hit points.
I mean, that's no different than short rests are in 5th edition.
Yep.
No, I mean, like, an entire day's worth of healing is like your character level and hit points, I think. In 3.5.
I mean, a regular 3.5, yeah, but not in this.
Yeah.
Reserve points is not regular 3.5 healing. We're not worried about regular 3.5 healing for reserve points.
No, that's true. Let's see. Massive damage, thresholds, and results. We are skipping this because no one should actually play with massive damage. That's the actual.
Yeah.
But hey, do you want massive damage to have higher or lower numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now the only weird part about the reserve points thing is that reserve points come back at D&D healing levels or healing amounts, but you can heal reserve points.
Yeah.
So I guess at the end of the day, you just blow any remaining cast you have on healing people's reserve totals.
Yeah. Let's see. Death and Dying variant. Yeah, this is straight up basically the this is a similar idea to current dying system in 5th edition, where it is basically like, okay, you're on the ground and dying, so start making saves.
Yeah, except these are saves. Well, a dying person makes a save every round.
Yeah. Let's see. Each round in this turn, dying character must make a fortitude save, 10 plus 1 per turn to become stable. If they fail, they die. If they succeed, save by less than 5, he does not die.
Prove you have to succeed by 5 or more.
Yeah, you do have to succeed by 5 or more. And 1 will always fail, so 1 will always kill you. So you do at least have a 5% chance of dying.
And then you can also potentially become dying if you are stable.
Yep. Now mind you, that's after an hour. So this is if you've got
every hour
no
you make a
healing.
check when stable.
Yeah. And for some reason, we have a dead entry here.
Yeah, dead people are dead.
Yep. But yeah.
People die when you kill them.
I do like you can't do much for the dead character that go through their pockets for loot gold.
Mm-hmm.
They know what game they're playing.
Yep. Well, shit, he's loot now.
Action points. A level-based resource that can be used to add to d20 rolls or to activate possibly useful abilities, some of them feat-based.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like, for example, if you have Blind Find, you can spend an action point to negate your miss chance for a single attack. Which is cute. They have a decent chunk of these. Yeah. They're not actually even bad.
It's weapon mastery.
Yeah.
Or it's the weapon, the martial die. In fifth edition.
Swords, yeah. Improved initiative goes from 4 to an 8.
Just so some spend things based on saves as opposed, or based on having various feats, as opposed to just pick X number of maneuvers that you have.
This I really like, but it would be so much better if it was a base roll of the system and they just did this with all the feats, because it would make feats so much more interesting.
It would actually absolutely make feats more interesting if every feat had, or I mean, if every feat had one, realistically. Like, your character gets X number of action points. You can spend them to do these. Also, all feats have an action point spend for a boosted version.
Yeah. Notably, your action points are 5 plus half your current character level at creation, and every time you gain a level, you get action points back on the same formula. So they are for your entire level. You get a fixed amount of action points, so you can't just spend them willy-nilly per se. But it's
there is also the caveat there that like your DM could give you action points,
and your DM can give you action points. You can also
do cool shit, get action.
Yep. You can also have other things get back action points, like, and if you you could also build it into classes. So like fighters could that could be the big thing of fighters is they can generate action points.
Get an day or something like that. So they just have a constant resource of them.
Yeah. Or even hell, get an action point every round of combat. How broken would that even be? It's be perfectly fine. Or just have a phantom action point that they can use. Or something.
At the start of combat, gain an action point.
Yeah.
Just always have at least one fight. Yeah. They can spend it in their actual pool if they want to do more.
Yeah. And action points themselves, they actually kind of show up in games. A much simpler version of them is built into the 5th edition rules at the moment, but like there are several games that use ideas like this.
My current game uses. My current game, you guys have them. You just never use.
I need to just put a sticky note on my monitor so I remember that we have these.
You guys have party story points, and you guys have an individual action point party point every session.
Yeah.
That 0 of you have used so far.
I completely forgot that was a thing.
Yeah.
Until you just said it.
You're gonna forget 2 days in. I know you.
Almost certainly. Combat facing. I don't have any notes written here because my exact opinion on this is no. This is exactly what it says on the tin. Do you want to keep track of the facing of your character in an edition that has already overcome? As a matter of fact, do you want to keep track of the facing of your character in any game? Especially in RPG.
Some games, like in a regular game, no. If like vehicle combat, where not being able to move fully, you know, like if you're driving a car, facing totally matters.
Yeah. And I can see you building
regular
into a
player,
combat
not in any way, shape.
Yeah. I can see you building into a very specific combat system game where facing matters to some extent in some ways.
You could. I mean, there are like tactics games that do have like attacks from the side or attacks from the rear have bonuses. So where you end up facing at the end of the turn is important, and like properly staging your characters to block flanks and rear is important.
Yeah. But as far as like a tabletop RPG where I'm even controlling just one character, not so much. It very quickly gets into the realm of overcomplication.
Yeah.
I'm with Vince on this one. There are times and places where facing should matter in games, but especially in like D&D or even just like most systems, it's egregious.
Yeah. Hex grid.
No. I just saw shield protection and I immediately said no.
Yeah.
Hex perfectly fine. I have 0 problems if you want to use hex grid. It really doesn't change anything at all.
Like it's a personal thing.
My no was for shield protection.
Oh, that's
dear Lord, don't do that.
That's part of facing, and don't do that. Even with the facing rules, just don't do that.
There's nothing wrong with hex, though. I mean, hex is just everything's equal as opposed to squares, where you either have to do corners or. It really doesn't.
I have 2 problems with hexes. One is when you're actually trying to build a map on. You're trying to build a map with actual like terrain and stuff underneath. It gets very wonky very fast.
I mean, not especially when you get made entirely of 40 or 90-degree angles either. So
no, but like if you're in a city, buildings are generally squares or rectangles and stuff, so it looks a little bit cleaner. My other problem is the idea is you can go in. It's basically you have 6 directions of movement instead of 4 or 8 directions of movement, however you want to do a square, but it's you still have weird travel, or you still have weird distance or weird angles, and it's like you're still basically doing the approximations you would do with squares anyways, because if I'm the colossal one here and I want to hit something here, you're still counting up and then sideways to find the distance, so it's not like it's not like it's doing a better.
The distance from the center of yours to the center of that is always the same, no matter how you count.
It is. That's not the issue. It's the same thing. I mean,
center to center is equidistant.
It's the same thing with squares.
Except center to corner is not the same distance.
Center to corner isn't. Yes, you could do squares. Yes, you always want to measure from the same part to the same part for a square, but it's the same thing with the hexes.
That's the thing. The center of one hex, the center of each adjacent hex is the same distance. Whereas the center from one square to the center of all adjacent squares counting diagonals is not the same distance, which is why D&D does that weird 5-foot, 10-foot shit.
Yes.
At least in older editions.
At least in older editions, that's older editions being weird. My point is, all grids are kind of a silly abstraction in the first place. We're not, if we wanted to be absolute, if we're trying to do
the
absolute,
ruler.
Yeah, exactly. If we're trying to do absolute distance, you could just get a ruler and play without the grid. This is much harder to do. It's still doable on a virtual tabletop, but kind of harder to do. But
grid, it's actually really easy to deal with virtual tabletop using TTS.
Yeah, that's true enough. But in general, if you're going to do a grid, I would just stick to squares, and you don't need to do a hex grid. I also don't really like how I really don't like how larger characters start to look at these weird ass shapes too. This is where it kind of gets weird for me. With squares, that's a lot cleaner. Yeah.
I mean, the weird ones are really large and gargantuan.
Yeah, huge, gargantuan. Yeah,
huge and colossal are circles.
Yeah, but the ones that are like the center is between the hexes. But yeah, I still think it's like I don't see the point is mostly what it comes down to, or much of a point of it, as you're being abstract either way. But yeah, it's not like it's a game breaker for me either. It's like Lancer was perfectly fine. It's built on a hex grid. The maps can look a little bit weird because of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Basically, what we're getting at is campaign situations and even DM preference can vary on grids of any kind. Or stuff. And none are inherently superior to the other without some trade-offs.
Yeah.
Mostly down to DM preference.
Yeah. Like if somebody was doing hex grid as a variant in 3.5 DnD, that would not be something that would impact it wouldn't impact me playing the game one way or another, but I would prefer squares over hexes because A, the game is built around squares in the first place, and B, I don't see much of an advantage of the hex grid. But it's not like a game breaker for me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Variable modifiers. This is pretty high on the no list as well, but nonetheless, it's worth laughing at. So instead of a static bonus, how about roll dice?
No. Just no.
Or penalties. In addition to the variable defense.
We can skip right past bell curve rolls as well.
That was a little bit. That one is a little bit interesting in the sense that it's like, hey, do you want to replace a D20 with 3d6? It's not. It's at least you could. Guess if you really
want to replace a D20 with 3d6, you're playing GURPS.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, if I'm replacing a D20 with 3d6, I'm actually going to replace it with 2d6 and just use the fucking system War Machine used.
Well, that's more what I could actually get at is like this game is built around rolling a d20 for your attack rolls, and all of the mechanical systems, feats, spells, etc. kind of revolve around that.
D20.
If you actually built an RPG, however, where 3d6 was the attack or 2d6 was the attack, it'd be perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, that's actually a good idea. I would 100% get behind it. Yeah,
the War Machine system that uses 2d6 rolls is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
It works great, and it boosts well. Like, you boost your attack. You get 3d6.
Yeah.
You get, like, 3d6 drop 1. It works fine, but it's designed that way.
Yeah.
Don't kludge a d20 system into a 3d6 system where you can no longer get anything, where you're now actually using a range of 3 to 18 instead of actually using a d20 like this was designed.
Yeah. It's also this math for the threat ranges is not great. Is the shorthand of that.
Well, it's like you used to need a 20, now you need a 16 through 18. You just need 19 or 20, now you need a 15 through 18.
Yeah. It's like I've not how the 18 and 17 are exactly the same because it's like
exactly.
It doesn't increment quite the same.
They don't bother to say 16 or 20 on there at all. I presume it's the same as either the 17 or the 15. Who knows?
I'm not sure which. I'm not sure we can get 16 actually, through 20. I don't remember.
Be able to get.
Yeah, I don't think you 20. Can. Yeah. Yeah, 3.5 was pretty good about you basically. I think the most you get is 18 through 20, and then you can double the range.
Which becomes 15.
Yeah.
15.
Yeah. We can't get to the 9 through 20 as you could in 3.0.
No, you don't have a 17 through 20 weapon that you can stack improved crit
and yeah, you can also stack improved crit and keen in 3.0.
There is no bladed gauntlet in 3.5.
Yeah.
with double crit boost stacking.
But yeah, if your system is actually built around 3d6, that can actually make for an
Perfect
interesting system. And like, the nice thing you can do about having like multiple combat dice is you can play with the dice themselves.
Yeah, you could have like, oh, well, you could even get down to granular stuff where like the base system is 3d6, but you have like martial weapon proof or like martial weapon specialty or melee weapon or melee attack specialty. So you change when your d6 is out for a d8. So now you're doing 2d6 and d8 as opposed to 3d6. And you can use that for doing incremental buffs and unique stuff. But again, your system needs to be designed for that.
Yeah.
You can't just kludge an existing system into that and expect it to work well.
Watch me.
You can kludge a lot of things. I just don't think it's a good idea, especially when you're talking about something that has as much material that is based around its base system as 3.5.
It's just not worth it.
No, it isn't.
Like, if you really want a system that uses 3d6, find a system that uses 3d6. Don't turn D&D into a 3d6 system.
Yeah.
Not saying there's anything wrong with 3d6 systems. The D20 systems are superior, but the game was designed as D20. Just fucking use it.
Yeah.
Yep. Like I said, GURPS is a 3d6 system. It's out there.
Yeah.
I actually like it.
That said, they actually did put a few things to actually support it, which was interesting and incredibly broken, because it's like auspicious odds. 46 drop the lowest. Here's the mass version. Like, it is attached to the luck domain.
Still.
Yeah, still. Let's see. Players roll all the
players roll all the dice.
You can technically do this. Yeah, don't worry about it.
Hey, it uses the defense check D20 roll.
Yes, it does.
Where you'd roll your attack and your opponent's defense roll at the same time.
Well, no, your opponent just has an attack score, so you're rolling your defense versus a flat number that is their attack.
Okay, so rather than rolling your attack against all their attacks are basically a 11. You're rolling a D20 and adding to your AC rather than doing. It's the okay. At least it's not a D20 attack roll and a D20 defense roll at the same time.
No, it's like you lose 10 off your AC, and they just take whatever they take an 11 on the attack effectively. So
yeah, and you roll a die to determine you're rolling whether they hit or fail based on what your AC ends up being.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, basically, it's I guess if the DM never wants to pick up a die because they're allergic, I don't know. But
yeah.
It's like the biggest issue with the system is you can't fudge anything because the players are rolling everything.
Because the players are rolling.
Yeah. All right, magic. Very magic systems. Let's see. Starting with magic rating. Why did I not write notes on this one? Man, I'm bad at this one.
Well, to be fair, most of this Arcana is just unearthed. It's right there.
Exactly.
Oh, there.
Oh, okay. This is basically stacking. Instead of having caster level for each class, this is literally stacking caster level as a single magic rating. So basically, all the caster classes give you full magic rating. The half casters give you half caster rating, and barbarian, fighter, rogue. So the non-casters actually still give you some caster rating. So even if you are multi-classing, you do eventually gain more caster level.
Okay.
Yeah, the spells do scale with caster level a lot more in this edition, so it does kind of help with multi-class casters, but ultimately what you're really trying to do is get access to the higher level spells and more spell slots. And without that part, it's still not enough. But if you assume
it makes Dragon Disciple not a complete pain, you still get some caster level.
You still get some caster level, you just freeze all of your spell progression. You're still going to have, and it does help at least with overcoming spell resistance, which is also a big problem that you tend to have if you don't have full caster progression. Okay, but yeah, It is an idea, as is the thing in this book. All right. So, theme summon lists. So if the DM is actually the one kind of deciding what's on your theme summon list, this can actually end up as less broken. But God, is this a lot of effort for that? You're almost better off of just trusting the player character who is doing the summon monster to not break the game. Assuming you can trust a player character to do summon monster.
Yep.
That's like if you're not already slapping a player and saying stop doing that, it means it's someone who already like. Basically, if you're going to plan on doing a character who's going to summon a lot, I'm expecting you to have an idea of what you want to summon before your turn comes around. And have all the stuff ready for whatever you're summoning, ready to go when you summon.
And also, to rein it the fuck in. Everyone knows this can get broken very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be a balancing mechanism, except they didn't really. This is everything they gave you in this book, so it is very much up to the DM to create tables.
Yeah,
and
this is all they give you. And again, you're gonna, as more and more source books get added,
there are more summons that get added.
There are more and more summons that get added and available, etc., etc.
Yeah. Okay, this one I actually like a decent amount.
Points.
Spell points.
We'll talk about spell points a lot more in another book coming up that we're probably not getting to tonight.
We're almost not, certainly not getting into it tonight. But yeah. I do like this one variant a bit, except for the part where it shoots itself in the foot.
Where does it do that?
Second. Okay, so to explain this variant is you don't have spell slots, instead you have spell points, which is what all these fancy tables are for.
Yep.
So in order to cast a spell, you have to pay a certain amount of spell points. For 0 level spells, you have to pay 0. I believe that you still have a limit of you can only cast 3 plus the number of spell points gained at first level. So you still basically have a equivalent spell slot.
Yeah.
For memorization casters, there's no point in memorizing the same spell more than once, but you basically still memorize the same number of spells per day. It's just that you don't actually use them up when you cast them, because you're just paying spell points instead.
Yep.
Spontaneous casters, you just know what you know, obviously.
Yeah.
So your class will give you a certain amount of spell points, your stats will also give you a certain amount of spell points, and they are directly based on what spell slots you would normally get, with the idea of it casts 1 point to cast a first level spell, 3 points to cast a second, 5, third, etc. It basically goes up by 2. That's the entirety of the system. Except for the one part where it kind of screws itself over. So, in order to cast a damaging spell, and only damaging spells, you are considered to be minimum casting level for purposes of the dice, unless you pay extra points to bump it up. At 1 per level. Okay. So if you cast a fireball, no matter what spell level you are, it just does a default 5d6.
And if you want to do 10d6 with it, you have to pay an extra 5 points.
Yes. No other magic is limited. In any capacity.
Which is, and considering damage spells are typically the least offensive thing a caster is going to do with spell casting.
Yeah. So for some reason, it nerfs a subpar option of spell casting while leaving all the broken stuff alone.
It makes blast caster have to spend more spell points to do their job.
Yeah.
But the guy who's just over there invalidating entire encounters with single cast can just do that with no penalty.
Yeah. But yeah, the basic idea of it is it allows spellcasters a lot more flexibility with their spell slots. The equivalent of, it's like, If I want to cast a 4th level spell, I'm using up the equivalent resources. Or I could cast way more spells basically of my highest level spell slot, because if I want to cast another 4th level spells, it's like I can use the equivalent resources of 2 1st level slots and a 3rd level slot, because that is what these numbers basically are, give or take.
Yeah. Yep.
They are based on they are directly giving you amount of spell points equal to whatever spell slots you would have multiplied by the level, basically.
Yep.
I do kind of like spell point systems, but I don't know why that nerf for blasting. And granted, if you're implementing this again, it's a variant role, you could just not do that part.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, because typically this is just going to end a fight with a save, doesn't have any level scaling.
Yeah.
So to some extent it makes sense. Like, yeah, I cast Hold Person. Doesn't do extra effects for having higher level on. Whereas, like, a Fireball does do an extra d6 per caster level, but realistically, it's just let them have the extra whatever. Like, especially in a system like this, where it's like, yeah, I could cast a Fireball that does 5d6 and then spend an extra 10 or extra 5 power points to make it do 10d6, or I can cast a Cone of Cold for 7 points that does 10d6.
Other parts of the system, Metamagic is either pay the extra costs for higher levels within your casting range, still limited basically by casting range. So what do you think? Or the daily uses variant of spontaneous Metamagic, which I'm going to check if I put pages out of order, because that is a big skip. Or did I accidentally eat up something that I shouldn't have eaten up? Oh, well, we'll get to it if it's in here. If not, I'll bring it up later. Let's recharge magic. Let me jump ahead a little bit. No, I think I ate up a few things I actually wanted to talk about. Okay, so there was a spontaneous... Yeah. How did I lose those?
Yeah, you have like a 10-page jump.
Yeah, I have a 10-page jump. Oh, wait. Oh, that is absolutely those tables. Okay, we do come to them later, from the looks of my notes, so if not, I'll mention them at the end. Yeah, for some reason they're out of order. But yeah. Yeah, this is going to the multi-classing, miscellaneous issues. Oh yeah, when you the multi-classing is simple. They just have separate spell point pools. Recharge magic. So it basically turns spells from a daily use system into an encounter one. Basically, you have 2 different types of spells. They're the quote-unquote combat spells, which are on a general cooldown. It makes every spell of that level unavailable for a certain period of time, so basically every spell level in combat will be basically an encounter power. Longer duration ones have specific cooldowns that only apply to that spell, but they'll last for like minutes or hours. So if you cast Mage Armor on yourself, it will be on cooldown, but it won't put all of your first level spells on cooldown.
Okay.
I'm not actually sure whether this is more or less powerful to normal spellcasting in a weird way. Because it actually kind of depends on how many encounters you have in a day, because you cannot go nuclear if you cast your highest level spell. Yeah, that's it for like a D6 plus 1 rounds for a wizard, or D4 plus 1 rounds for bard or sorcerer. So if you're you can't cast your highest level spell slot for another 2 rounds.
Yeah,
at minimum. And it is more powerful if you're doing a lot of encounters in a day, but if you're only doing like 1 or 2,
I do also like that it gives a shorter limits for bard and sorcerer, who typically end up, like Sorcerer especially, end up getting the, short on the stick on the spell casting stuff.
Yeah,
where
they
it's
generally
like,
do.
yeah, they get an extra spell slot, but they also have a significantly smaller list and or a spell known list.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a cleric, which has access to literally everything. So you have fewer options, but they recharge faster, which is I think it's interesting. At least be a variant like worth trying out.
Yeah, I do think that one is a variant worth trying out. It is actually probably more interesting if you. It is probably more of something to consider if you know your campaign is only going to have like an encounter a day, because it is actually like.
And I also think it works like relatively well. Even if you're even if you're gonna have multiple encounters a day, I still think it's fine. Like low levels is interesting, where it's like you're always casting your highest, but you only have like 3 spell slots then anyway. So rather than just color spraying 3 times and knocking out everyone in the fight, you color spray once and you get to do something else for a couple rounds while it comes back.
Yeah.
Or like you color spray once and you cast a magic missile and you wait a couple rounds to come back. I think it's fine.
Well, that's the thing. If you color spray, you can't cast first level spells. So you wouldn't be
knocks
able to
out spells,
missile
not slots.
Yeah, it doesn't knock out slots for the generic stuff or for the general stuff. It will only lock off slots for like. So for example, let's look at this stupid table because they can't not have stupid tables here. So if you cast Mage Armor, it has a 6-hour cooldown. So when you cast Mage Armor, you can't cast it again for 6 hours, but you can still cast the rest of your level 1 spells. But anything that says General, that knocks off all of the generals. So you can't cast another general cooldown. Basically, everything that is general is a shared cooldown, but everything that is specific has its own cooldown.
And it's based on that level or level of spell?
Yeah.
I'm still kind of fine with it.
Yeah. As a side, no one will ever have issues with hit points between encounters. It's like, oh yeah, you're healing full at the end of every encounter.
You full heal every encounter.
Yeah.
You have infinite cures.
Yeah.
I think I'm still fine with it.
Yeah. It is an interesting variant. Yeah, because you can't actually go full turbo.
You can't just like, okay, I have 3rd level spells now. I'm just going to cast 3 fireballs in this fight.
Yeah.
A fireball, then a fireball, then a fireball. Fight's over. It's like you can cast a fireball, then you have to cast a 2nd level spell and the 1st level spell, and then you have to wait for recharges. It lets casters do more fights in a day, while at the same time keeping them from just blowing out single fight days, which I think is fine. It also makes you more likely to use your spells constantly, as opposed to run into a situation where it's like, are we going to run into another fight and I need to have these spells available? You're not concerned about that when you know you're going to be able to cast again in a max of 5 turns.
Yeah. Yeah, so the biggest rub with this one is how every individual spell does kind of have its own cooldown. I think they do give some general guidelines because, like, this is only the base book spells, and there's a shit ton of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Legendary weapons. Prestige classes built around weapons. I like this idea. Unfortunately, they didn't flesh it out. And is pretty much left to, hey, we have an idea. So yeah, here's a class, and most of its class features come with going up in whatever weapon you designed. Here's our example weapon. What, you want more than an example weapon?
Got it.
Yeah. So remember, the DM is supposed to custom tailor prestige classes to every player at the table. I genuinely like this idea, but I am never going to put in the effort for it.
Yeah, it is 100% this is a cute idea, and it'd be nice if they made like 5 or 6 different weapons of each type.
Yeah.
Not here's one specific example, and then if you want more, I guess your DM can make them.
Yeah. So yeah, the fighter one is based around dragons, and divine one. Are you a dwarf? Well, Based around dwarfiness, the spell.
Is it based around dwarviness? I mean, it has might evils and
Fortitude of Souls, yeah.
It's not really
it is more
dwarf at all.
It is more generic. It's just you literally have to be a dwarf and alignment lawful good.
Oh, well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Let's see. I own Burning Staff. I think this one is more on the generic side. Yeah, this is more on the generic side at least, but also kind of meh.
It just can't be lawful.
Yeah. The Swift one. Hey, granted, you could just drop the dwarf.
It could, but it's like it's a nice concept. It just needed more.
It needed more items.
More.
Yeah.
It needed more.
Yeah. Because like I actually like it's like I like this perfectly fine as like just variant on prestige classes. It's just that it needed more than just the one weapon examples.
And it's not like it doesn't have a basis in like fantasy already of like, oh hey, you're the hero with the chosen hero sword. Now you get to take the battle scion class and you unlock more abilities of the hero's blade as you level up.
Yeah.
I hope your hero's blade is the anti-dragon sword though.
Yeah.
Oh, the great villain you're supposed to fight is a lich? Yeah, your sword's not gonna help with that. This is a dragon blade? Only one we got.
Let's see. Well, you're immune to fear. Yeah, you're immune to fright. No, that's frightful presence. Never mind. That would be better. Don't worry. You can scare things with your fright. Never mind. They're all undead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
you get a bonus. You get a bonus enhancement against dragon. Okay, is it a Draco Lich? No, wait, that's undead.
Bonus enhancement mean it has Bane. Literally has Bane dragons built in, but yeah.
Well, no, but I mean it also has like enhancement. Or is it also adding the Bane again?
It's adding the Bane in there. Yeah, it's just adding the Bane in there. Let's see. Yeah, moving on. Item familiar. Basically build your own intelligent magic item. Initially lets you invest EXP, skill points, and your highest level spell slot for XP bonus if you invest XP, bonus extra skills if you invest skills. Basically you give a fixed XP amount and you get a 10% bonus. Bonus skills is you invest one skill point into it and you basically get to do 2 skill points, or you invest your highest level spell slots and you get an extra spell slot. It's 2 levels lower. You still have the ones you invest, mind you, but what happens if your item familiar goes away? You're screwed on those. This is entirely a feat built around tempting the DM to sunder your items.
Not wrong.
Yeah. Eventually, it becomes an intelligent item and gains its own abilities. So basically, you take the feat and then you choose an item that you ostensibly already bought, and if it's a weapon, you're almost certainly going to want to enhance later. And by that I mean, if you took that one feat from Exalted Deeds that lets you have a weapon that you can just shove treasure into, it's probably the best way of doing that. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, you want. Other than that, if you're going to have an item familiar, you're going to want it to be like a cheap thing that you're going to permanently keep, like an Ion Stone or something. Otherwise, it's like, oh, my nice +1 chain shirt is my item familiar, and do we have a 4-week break while I get it enchanted up to a reasonable piece of armor? Well, yeah.
You wait until you get that belt of +6 to all stats.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, again, this is something you could easily have just put in like complete arcane or something, or even complete warrior. It doesn't necessarily need to be in this book. Is perfectly fine as just a player feat. Let's see. Incantations. Ritual spells that anyone can perform with a good enough skill check. There's a giant asterisk on that one. It doesn't take a feat. You don't have to be a caster. You just have to have the ritual itself. You have a book that describes the ritual. It's make a bunch of skill checks, 2 failed checks in a row, the ritual ends in failure, and you suffer some side effects. This is an idea. Yeah. So anyways, we only have the sample rituals.
They also cost XP.
They also cost XP. Except for the last one doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. It's not a bad way to get, like, just some baseline magic effects into a system if you want them to if you want them to just exist. Like, if you want planar travel to exist in your, or if you want planar travel to be very much a thing in your game, trying to convince players that they want to take the planar travel spells is a kind of an uphill battle, if I'm being completely honest. Somebody might want to do something with them or have them, like, as an escape plan, but the vast majority of the time, players will look at the planar travel spells and go, why would I want this? In comparison to, like, more spells that will be more immediately and apparently useful. Unless they have weird campaign plans of one sort or another. But if you want to do a plane hopping campaign, it would be an option, for example, to have, like, a ritual to do it.
Yeah.
So, as a general idea, I do kind of like it. However, we are talking about a 3/5, so of course this is so overbuilt, it's kind of stupid.
Look, I think it's perfectly fine to have a teleport spell that requires 5 people, 1 of which is casting it, 4 of which are telling the oratory of the story. Failure burns me, and every 10 minutes of the 60-minute casting time, everyone needs to make con saves because we're hotboxing ourselves in a hut. Did I mention that one of the requirements for casting a spell is a fucking hut to light a bonfire in?
No, you're fine.
I think you could cut 80% of the words out of this and also just not make this anywhere near as fucking hard.
Specifically a windowless thatched hut in a forest.
Okay, so what you actually need from this is casting time 60 minutes and the effect. And no, maybe
you need the fact that it requires you and a minimum of 4 other people.
Yeah.
Also, every 10 minutes, because you're trapped inside a small windowless thatch hut in a forest. Very specific on the Imperial component.
Yes.
That you have to make con saves for the severe heat because inside your teleportation spell needs to take place in an enclosed hut with a large bonfire to tell a story. On the one hand, this shit's dumb. On the other hand, I actually like this shit.
Yeah. It also, as you describe this, is actually kind of wraps around to be kind of just plain amusing.
Like, the base concept of, like, simple incantations? Okay, fine. How specific they're getting with this? Kind of unnecessary, but, like, the idea of, like, yeah, we're going to teleport by going out in a hut in the middle of the forest, lighting a bonfire, telling a story, and hoping we don't pass out from heat exhaustion. Like, that's cool shit.
Yep. Alright. Campaign section. Contacts. Okay, I like this one. It's a neat optional role that you could use in other editions of D&D or other RPGs with very minor amount of tweaks. Basically, characters gain contacts as they go up in levels. And I think I described most of the system. They're minor NPCs basically created by the character. There are 3 types of contacts: information, influence, and skill. Informants are a 3rd your level. Technically, influence are 4th your level, and skill are like half, but mostly built from NPC classes. But none of this is actually important. The point of it is, here's some people you can talk to on the side. These are people you can, like, these are people who can be, like, notable, just extra NPCs in the town that are just friendly towards you. They're not followers. They're not going to follow you into adventures. But if you know, like, the barber Jim from down the street and just want to hear rumors around the town, you could just take a visit because he's one of your contacts and just say hi, and he'll give you some information or other little things like that. It is literally letting the players just kind of build out the world a little bit. Yeah. And not in any way that is overly broken or anything.
And as you can clearly see on that table, bards know everyone.
Bards know everyone. And for once, fighters aren't on the worst table.
Nope, so table C. Together with sorcerer.
Yep. Yeah, the worst
clerics, paladins, and rogues being B makes sense because it's like, people can just see a cleric and a paladin and know that they're good people they can talk to, and a rogue has sorcerer.
What I would actually recommend is pick one of these and have it apply to all players. When it comes to this table, the end. Don't worry about it. It is built to be very in line with the flavors of the classes, but it's kind of unnecessary. But yeah, in general, I actually just like this as a rule you could just throw onto any game. It is a great way of just adding more fluffy NPCs to a game and like some nice little role-playing sections for individual players. Like you just have you guys are back in town. Does anyone you have time to like see one of your contacts? Everyone just pick a guy and go do a thing.
Yeah.
All right. So as you can see at the bottom of that page, reputation is next. A bonus or penalty to social attacks given when someone recognizes you based on your class levels. Way more work than it needs to be, which is, let me check. None. You need none. Like the player, the amount of recognition that you actually need players to have from NPCs is whatever the hell you want in the game. You don't need to mechanicize it.
I have a D% table and we're going to use it.
Well, D% table is amusing, but that's a different matter entirely. Oh yes, there's also an alternate. So the base reputation system is based on, I didn't put that here, is based on just class level. There's an alternate system for it being based on deeds, the deeds that your characters do alone, or as instead of class levels, which is an idea. But again, do you need mechanics for this? Do you need numbers? You just
yes, we need numbers for everything.
If we don't have numbers, how do we know what's going on?
Yeah, exactly. Oh wait, you're playing the game. Things are happening.
No, I need numbers. Hey.
I missed another thing here. We'll see if it pops up later. We'll go back over what I missed. Right, so Taint. Basically, evil as an infection gives you a penalty or con and wisdom score equal to how much Taint you have. I'm going to say Taint a lot, so I get the laughing out of the way.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm done.
We're done.
Can be used to replace alignment or not, your choice. If you die of Taint, you reanimate as undead.
Sorry. I'm done.
It is basically a nuclear evil system of sorts.
Yeah.
Or alternatively, it can be a nuclear, I don't know, chaos or nuclear law, or it is literally however the hell you want to flavor it, because the penalties for Taint itself are incredibly harsh, because, yeah, literally every Taint point is a -1 to your con and wisdom.
Oof.
Yeah. Unless you turn evil, or chaotic, or lawful, or I don't fucking know, your choice.
Yeah,
because there are.
So I choose zesty evil.
So let's go over these prestige classes because there are. Okay, well, the Tainted Sorcerer is amusing. The other one, it just kind of exists. So full caster advancement for all caster classes, despite its name. It can be. It's Tainted Sorcerer, but it can technically be a cleric spells for all it matters.
Tainted caster for all it matters.
Yeah. So Taint no longer reduces con, but still, and only reduces wisdom by half. It uses blood as material components for all spells, can take con damage to use metamagic, or can just use metamagic normally. The kind of almost broken and silly one is it uses taint instead of its casting stat for bonus spells and DCs. So that number can be rather fucking high.
I was gonna say.
As long as you're more than willing to tank your wisdom. Yeah, because you're no longer taking any con penalties for it. You're still taking wisdom, but it's only half. So if you have a wisdom of like 12, you can have up to a minus 11 to wisdom, which would be 22 taint. Making the DCs for your spells 10 plus your spell level plus 22. You'll never pass a will save, but
Yeah, I was gonna say.
What's the ability that gives them that? Tainted spellcasting?
Tainted spellcasting, yeah. Yeah, because it's just flat the taint score.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, all spells you cast are also evil spells. So the only other clause is there's a fortitude
A fortitude save every time you cast a spell to not get taint.
Yeah. So you do want to at least have some window. And you have to make a will save not to advance in this class.
Sure.
So Tainted Warrior has the same taint suppression as the Tainted Sorcerer. So no con penalty and only half wisdom. Their main feature is Tainted Strike, which is add plus add plus taint damage and +1 taint to the target.
Taint people.
Yep. Which they can do once and then twice per day. And some minor damage reduction.
Yep.
This class is really not worth it. Alright, Sanity. There are 17 pages of Sanity rules. This is bigger than everything else in this chapter combined. Sanity is a common mechanic in Cosmic Horror games, and D&D does have some elements of it. Even with the earliest editions, they actually did flirt with publishing some Cthulhu Mythos stuff, but there was some copyright concerns that made them not do that. The basic gist of this one is you start with 5 times your wisdom in Sanity, which is also your max Sanity. Things that cause loss of sanity, like encountering creatures, shocking events, casting spells, learning spells, reading books, because in Cthulhu, very much parallel in Cthulhu Mythos, magic itself is insanity driving Cthulhu Mythos. Whenever you lose half or more of your wisdom score and sanity from a single thing, you gain temporary insanity. I had more tables on this. Whenever you go to native 10 sanity, you go permanently insane. Treating sanity loss is completely up to the DM. Gain some back at level investment or not. Some spells can gain it back or not. Mind blank prevents sanity loss or not. Miracle restores your sanity to maximum.
Or not.
No, it's Miracle. You
just following the trend.
Yeah.
Just following the trend. Yeah.
Also available is the healing skill and good old-fashioned drugs. It is very, very built out. Somebody was really inspired when it came to this one. And again, a lot of that stuff I mentioned, it is a lot of, okay, just take what you want from all of this, but we threw a bunch of ideas at the page. Whether you need sanity rules in your game depends on what time of game you want to play. Generally, I would just direct you towards a completely different role-playing game system if you wanted to add insanity to the game. But when it comes to D&D, alright, I could kind of see it a little bit, because if you wanted to add like a bit of Cosmic Horror on top of the fantasy or as an accent to it, okay, kind of. How far you take it, however, that's a different idea. I just because of how the game is built, I wouldn't go with the spellcasting as something that causes sanity loss or it'd be,
Yeah.
or I'd really tone it down, because the 3.5 D&D in general, but and 3.5 in specific, is very much built around spellcasters being able to cast spells.
Yeah.
So, like, putting additional penalties onto it, like, even if you're trying to use it as kind of a quasi way of balancing spells, it's too ham-fisted, honestly.
I always feel like stuff like that, to quote balance spells unquote, basically says you're punishing your players for picking a spellcaster. You're just adding extra shit onto it for just because they have picked spellcasting. That doesn't feel fun to me.
Spellcasting is legitimately the most powerful thing you can do in this edition by a good margin, but it's better reined in on the player side. If I'm,
yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, types of insanity, short-term, long-term effects.
Definition of insanity, definition of insanity, definition of insanity.
Yep. But yeah, there is a lot of rules for that, and we're not going to just comb through that. It would take way too much time for not really much of effect.
Yep.
Alright. Test-based prerequisites. Just making up trials in order to get into prestige class or feats. At what point do you just let your characters advance without a fuss? Also, seriously,
No.
feats.
If you want to learn your feat, you must do a trial. Now curl these anvils.
Shit.
Oh
sure,
wait, sorry,
that's
retraining. I'm sorry.
That's retraining, yes.
I press this child.
If you're going to the effort, or if you're going the extra mile and to make a custom prestige class for every character, then yeah, I guess you could have prestige class tests. Since you're already going to Crazyville already. But like, no, seriously, just let them have just let them have this. And again, the feats. Why?
You must earn your progression, never mind all the experience you've gained.
Alright, next. Level independent XP rewards. Divorcing character level from the XP reward formula, which is actually the default for both Pathfinder 1st Edition and for 5th Ed. This variant rule stopped being a variant rule and actually started being the rule. It is also just a way fucking easier way of figuring out experience rewards, because it's just right there on the goddamn monster entry. Not really too much else to say about it, but it is kind of neat that it's like, oh no, this one we just kind of did, because it's just a better idea. Alright, afterwards, Worlds Collide. This is a section all about making a campaign that goes between several worlds, so basically you can use a bunch of different alternate rules in the same campaign for reasons. The three ideas they put out here is world-spanning organization. You work for a group that does stuff in different worlds. Just basically shifting worlds, which is sliders but less voluntary. You just basically, alright, you guys are done in this world. I'm just gonna shove you off to this world now.
Stumblers.
Yep. And the Eternal Champion, which is yet another idea stolen from Michael, or taken from Michael Moorcock, but at least he's credited this time.
It's true.
Basically, all of your different characters in different worlds are similar but different people that are manifestations of the same archetype. The idea here is players make 3 different characters, and you just kind of switch between them as the campaign goes on and go back and forth, and they all level up at the same time and do everything like that. Which is probably a better way to do it if you want to go between various different, like, more concrete world-changing rules. Like, if you have, like, the defense bonus on one world, or, like, this world has sanity, but I don't want that to apply to all the characters, just, like, have one of them specifically for it, or stuff like that. Ah, yes, and this checklist. So you can have players, so you can print out this checklist, check off the variants you're using.
What variants you'd be interested in using.
Yeah.
Hand them off to your other players as a survey.
Yep.
Or, you can act like a normal human being and just talk with people. Not have to fill out paperwork.
Wait, is that what humans do? Oh shit, I've been pretending this all wrong. Fuck.
Interesting. Tell me more about what the humans do.
Okay, we're going to rewind from the back cover for a minute. Okay, so systems I somehow cut out of here, or things I somehow cut out of here. This will be quick. This will be less quick because the hard drive needs to spin up again. But basically I can go over this. The systems I accidentally somehow missed the slides for were Honor, which is various ways of numberizing honor and weird situational bonuses and penalties for having it or a lack of it. Again, do you really need to mechanicize this?
That works good for L5R, not for D&D.
Yeah. Okay, this one I definitely want to bring up. Where is the magic? Mostly because... Okay. So here's Metamagic Components. Spend way too much money for a single free Metamagic effect. The silly part of this one is there is an entry for every fucking spell.
God, why?
Look at how much space this eats up in this book.
Someone needed to fill pages, and this is how they did it.
I do not envy whoever decided this was an idea.
You could just not.
You could just have a smaller page. I would actually appreciate you having a smaller page count.
Just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, the other thing I cut out was spontaneous management.
I don't need to know that I can spend 1,000 gold for an individual component to heighten Edward's jerking off tentacles.
Yeah.
2 levels.
Okay, so the other thing I cut out was the spontaneous magic. For some reason, this author thinks metamagic is better for spontaneous casters than prepared ones. Is my first note here. Yeah, like...
I mean, they don't have to prepare their spells as metamagic spells. They do have to take full rounds to cast them for some reason.
Yes. But the variant aside was fine. It's daily uses. Basically, you take the Metamagic Feat, you have daily uses limited to like 3 per day. Spells you could cast. You still have to be able to cast a spell with normal level adjustment. You can take the feat multiple times for more uses, and that's it. It basically turns them into metamagic rods, effectively.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which
that's mostly fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's
Definitely
see.
far less egregious ones.
The other variant was much more poorly thought out. So it basically costs you the level adjustment and extra spell slots of the modified spell's level and higher. So if you wanted to maximize a fireball, it would cost you 3x instead of costing you a level 6 slot for maximize fireball, because it was +3 for maximize. Yeah. You would spend a 3rd level slot, and then you would spend 3 more spell slots of 3rd level or higher.
Yeah. Of 3rd level or higher?
Yes, of 3rd level or higher, 3 extra spell slots, not levels of spell slots.
What?
Yeah. So you want your players to not use metamagic?
Yeah.
You could just ban metamagic.
You're reading this wrong, right?
No, I'm not. I had to double check this one. Yeah. Number of extra spell slots required is equal to the spell level adjustment of the feat. For example, a wizard who wants to cast a Quicken Magic Missile will expend Magic Missile spell plus 4 additional spells of 1st level or higher.
No.
So he claims to have a wizard, but he has a real shit in score.
So yeah, daily uses, perfectly fine. Matter of fact, I actually
Wow.
kind of prefer that one, if anything.
No,
so
that's why the extra spell slots one.
That's a good question. It's like, I get not wanting them to, because if it was just like extra spell levels of whatever the normal level adjustment would be, that would be
If it was
too
like,
good.
oh, I cast a fireball, but then I also spend my like 3 level 1 spell slots to offset the 3 level increase, which is what I thought you were going to go with, and I'm like, okay,
Or
that
just
makes
say,
sense.
I spent 2 level 3 slots to cast this maximized fireball.
Yeah, that would be fine too, because that would still offset the 3 level increase. If you were offsetting the increase with spells, levels of spells, no matter where those slots came from, that would at least make sense to me. It's like a decent way to be like, okay, I'm a high level caster. I'm going to metamagic a fireball and then blow up, basically eat up some of my low level magical power that I wasn't going to cast anyway to empower that as a way to kind of. I'm not going to cast a color spray or a magic missile anymore because I have like 6, 7 level spell slots.
Yeah.
I'll just use those to feel like a maximized fireball. Not, I'm going to spend 4 level 3 to cast a maximized fireball because I'm the shittiest caster in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe you have Krampus's roll luck and you need that to actually deal decent damage.
Oh yeah, one other thing. Okay, so the one other thing, according to my notes, that I skipped in here is the character background. So roll for random background and have the game give you limitations. That's how this one works. There are a ton of these tables, by the way.
Oh god.
Hey, these have reputation on them. These have reputation on them?
Yes, these do have reputation on them, just in case you're using the reputation optional rule with this.
Oh, and what type of contact you have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, and contacts. It's... I guess you could use it, but at the same time, there's way more on this than you either need or probably want as a player character, especially. Like, if I want to be, it's like, oh, I rolled Noble Warlord. So it's like, if you have no idea of what you want to play, I guess you could roll on this. But then it also starts to go like, okay, so you're Noble Warlord, you should probably be a fighter or paladin. Okay, I can see that. Here's some feats you should take. Leadership, weapon focus. It's like, sorry.
I mean, if you're a warlord, leadership makes
I had a
Leadership
DM
makes sense.
that threatened to use this if a person did not have their character concept ready for the session.
Yeah. I think by the rules of this optional, I think the rules of this one, choose one that gives feats. Yeah. Like, as optional suggestions, I guess I could see it, but I think this is actually meant to be more played as, no, seriously, this is what you have. As, like, kind of a fixed feature. As, like, but whatever, you could take this as just, like, a random table in order to, like, try and get some inspiration for a character to play or something. It being this book, you can kind of use it, but it is, at the same time, not really what I want for a background, per se. I forget that one book actually just does it better. I think it's a 3.0 book.
There's a 3.0 book that is just background tables.
Yeah, that is just background tables.
That I love because it's just like, let's make up a random character.
Yeah, and it writes a background. This is just
like, it writes a background. You're like, oh, here's your childhood. How many significant events did you have? What were those significant events, etc., etc. It is literally like, it's one of the smaller, not hardbound books, but it is nothing but tables for background generation.
Yeah,
a splats book.
Yep, and it is quite frankly great. For very much what it does.
And it's not like, oh, you're a warlord, you have to have like your level needs to be fighter or paladin. Or it's like,
yeah,
it's just, it has nothing to do with how your character like actually ends up being. Like, It's not dictating what classes you need to be or anything like that. It's just generating fluff for your character if you don't have already established fluff for your character.
Yeah.
Or fluff for your character to use as a basis for making like a more established fluff.
Yeah.
That book's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, you'd be better off using that book than this. This is basically like, here's a one word and like maybe some other suggestions, but not anything like all that solid.
That book is how, in the very first big D&D campaign we did, which was 3.5.
Yeah.
That's how Runir ended up, our friend HP Braincase's character, ended up being a high elf from a mountain farming community who left his town after the woman he was in love with died in a horrible plowing accident in the plowing competition between his character and his romantic rival.
Hey-oh.
All generated from that book.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's Unearthed Arcana. A giant hodgepodge and mess of ideas that is very much in the spirit of RPGs in general, being a giant hodgepodge and mess of ideas, but especially D&D. But more specifically is also just like a, hey, you know what you can do with RPGs? Adapt them to however the hell you want to play the game.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Yeah, but again, they're all just offerings, and it's interesting if nothing else. And there's some really solid stuff in here. Like a lot of the character options I just plain like, as just exactly that, as options on the table for players to make things. Like nothing outside of the conjuration variant that makes summoning even more powerful for some fucking reason is overly busted or anything like that. It all well lies within being fine. And yeah, this is actually, like, in general, just a very good 3.5 book just for that reason alone. And again, even if you're not playing 3.5, there are a few things here and there that can serve as inspiration for your own house rules and might even be transferable straight up. Like Contacts, as I said, is something you can just add to any game. You have to do a little bit of adapting, but the idea is pretty straightforward. As a matter of fact, I think World of Darkness, that is actually one of the one things or another you can generally have on a character, but that's more of a mechanical thing. But yeah. Anyone else have anything to say?
I like it as a. I've always liked these types, like the Unearthed kind of books, where it's here's a giant pile of variants and ideas and concepts. Like obviously, as we talked about some of them in here, it'd be nice if they fleshed them out a little bit more, like the weapon-based prestige classes where they only had one variant for each one.
Yeah.
It's nice to have these concepts, but they do need to cook something a little bit more.
Yeah.
But some of the ideas are like, yeah, if you just want to throw this into your campaign, it's perfectly fine. It would work as a nice little variant. Some are a bit more, half-baked, like you don't need to turn D&D into a 3d6 system. It's not designed for it. Even though it is like, yeah, you can do a variant like that, it's just really not built for it. But a lot of these are like, yeah, you could slot this in, it'd be no problem. Like, you want to have cooldowns on your spells, but you don't expend them? Sure, why not? You want to do ACFs effectively? I mean, alternate class features? Yeah, sure, why not? The base or the generic character classes, perfectly fine. Like, there's a lot of interesting ideas that are like, yeah, your party wants to, your group wants to do something a little bit different. Drop one of these in, swap it out for something else. It's always nice to have this book of here's things to make your game a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I will say, in a previous group that myself and Bograt were a part of, Unearthed Arcana was fairly regularly cracked open during character creation, for one reason or
another. Yeah, it happened quite often with us as well. Flaws were pretty common. Just to get extra feats on characters. occasionally we'd either go into the alternate class features or the I think once or twice I use the generic classes because they're very good at helping you qualify for prestige classes without having to drive yourself insane. Generally, all the race and class features are just nice options to have, especially this early in D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't really have that many books to play with at this point, so there's and races don't really get multiplied out all that much when it comes to player races. They do add more races in Monster Manual, obviously, but those kind of become at DM. Those are by nature at DM's permission. But having different variants of the base races available is kind of a nice way of expanding it a little bit. I don't think we got too much use out of that, but it was still there. Yeah, that's pretty much about all I can say on this book. It's a good book. It is a collection of ideas. Very much in the spirit of what the tabletop games kind of are.
So it's a wellspring of knowledge.
Yep, a wellspring of knowledge.
No,
Now,
there's very clearly a key that will unlock a wellspring of knowledge.
No, it's telling you to unlock a wellspring of knowledge.
Yeah,
so we need to make a skill challenge here. All right. So who has?
Oh goddamn! I'm not a rogue.
Oh, is this a magical trap we need to worry about?
All I know is I hope the treasure inside isn't friendship.
I'd pull a rat out of my bag of rats, throw it in the treasure center.
Can we retroactively make this a Gestalt campaign so that I can grab rogue as my second class?
Have class of rogues? I like it. We should do that.
Yeah.
I check out Gestalt on the check sheet.
Yeah.
All right. Crap, there's a picture. I can't write on it.
I'm going to run with the sanity system so I can lean in and whisper, monster, into people's ears at night.
It's okay, I'm already insane. It doesn't do anything to me.
Ah, you rolled well on your background table then.
You rolled, let's see here, Shock Trooper. So you have to be, so you're a fighter. You either have power attack or improved bull rush, so you have power attack. But yeah, in any case, that's all we have for you this week, because we sure shit ain't getting to the next book. Since it's already
past our usual stopping time already. So.
Yes.
It is
our usual wind down point.
Yeah. So yeah, join us on Sunday for more Super Robot Wars 30, where we do more Super Robot Wars 30.
There's so much more Super Robot Wars 30.
So much to go.
Yep. Join us on Monday for our for Shiv and Hunter's
continued struggle against probability, randomness, and the human spirit.
Yes.
Back on the first island.
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
Yeah, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon Soul Link run, where they are now on to Seed 6 and down at the beginnings of it.
Yep, back on first island, just start.
Yep. And join us back. Yep, and join us back here next week for the expanded Psionics Handbook and possibly other stuff past that. Possibly not. I don't know how fast we'll go through that. That is a dense book as well.
Yeah.
What has base classes stuff in it? So
has base classes, has prestige classes, an entire alternate magic system. It is a thing.
And we've already touched on the basics of the magic system. It's the points we've already seen, except as stupid.
Point system, only more elaborate, less stupid, and actually built around it. Yep. But yeah, till then, I'm Vincent.
I'm the Krampus.
I'm Shiv.
I've been under green.
And I'm Vincent. And remember, everyone, hindsight's 20/20 if you house roll it.